been deployed to France to work with French authorities. Speaking to EWN, the Mthethwa family said preliminary information and hotel footage suggest there was no foul play, with only Mthethwa seen entering the room. The Justice Department says Minister Kubai's meeting with SABC aims to clarify a formal request for assistance and to ensure that the investigation is transparent and thorough. It stressed that the repatriation process will follow normal protocol and that the priority remains uncovering the truth behind Mthethwa's death. Mongi Zikoko, Eyewitness News.
ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has pledged to ensure the party's new 10-point plan to revive the economy is fully implemented. Ramaphosa unveiled the party's economic action plan today, which is geared towards driving economic growth. It was developed by the party's National Executive Committee in response to concerns over the current state of the economy. Ramaphosa presented the plan while delivering the closing remarks at the ANC-NEC meeting in Boksburg. Alpha Ramshwana was there.
One of the ANC's top priority interventions is to accelerate the recovery of Transnet's logistics network with a focus on getting freight rail fully operational. The party is also exploring ways to rebuild the country's chrome and manganese industries to boost exports to the international market. Another measure aimed at stimulating economic growth is the expansion of Eskom's transmission capacity. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says these are not mere empty promises.
We will focus on implementation and delivery. So it is going to be implementation. Specifically, we have identified 10 priority interventions to reignite growth in our economy.
Ramaphosa says the government of national unity will have to roll out the ANC's economic action plan. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Boksburg.
The Supreme Court of Appeal has overruled the Pretoria High Court judgment setting aside Zulu King Misuzulu Zwelithini's recognition as monarch. In December 2023, Judge Norman Davis ruled in favor of Princes Mbonisi and Smagade Zulu, who opposed the king's official recognition by President Cyril Ramaphosa. In May this year, both the president and the monarch approached the Supreme Court of Appeal. The SCA has now ruled in their favor. Nhlanhla Mabaso has more.
In March 2022, President Cyril Ramaphosa recognized King Misuzulu Zwelithini as Zulu monarch. Members of the Zulu royal family opposed to Misuzulu's ascension to the throne approached the court to oppose this move. The Pretoria High Court ruled in their favor, saying proper procedure was not followed in the recognition process. However, lawyers for both the king and the president appealed the ruling in Bloemfontein, arguing that all processes were followed and that the royal family actually identified the king and then the president only recognized him later. 3 months after the arguments, the Supreme Court has overturned the Pretoria High Court ruling. It also ordered the respondents to pay costs. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News.
Today's proceedings in the Phala burglary trial have been cut short following complaints over the court interpreter. The accused have once again raised issue with the Oshibambo interpreter, saying he's not interpreting the correct message. Emanuela David and siblings Froliana and Ndilinasho Joseph are charged with breaking and entering into President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm and stealing $580,000 in cash. The trial is being heard at the Mudimule Regional Court in Limpopo. Thabiso Koba is there.
Before the start of today's proceedings, the court interpreter told the magistrate he was tired due to having a busy weekend. He is tasked with interpreting the court's proceedings in Oshivambu, an official Namibian language. This is the home language of the 3 accused and also the state's witness who was on the stand today. Magistrate Peter Mantata says an alternative interpreter was not available for today.
I'm not sure if it's a question of being fatigued or actually it's a question of the language itself.
The matter has been adjourned to Wednesday, pending an inquiry into whether a new court interpreter is needed or not. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
And Australian police have charged a 60-year-old man after he allegedly opened fire on a busy Sydney street, wounding 16 people in a chaotic attack. Police were called to Croydon Park in the city's inner west on Sunday evening, where the alleged gunman was firing from his property, randomly targeting passing cars and police. About 50 shots were fired and 16 people wounded. The man's been charged with 25 offences, including 18 counts of shooting with intent to murder, firing a weapon in a public place, and possessing an unregistered firearm and ammunition. Gold is trading at $3,933.15 an ounce. The rand's at 17.25 to the dollar, 23.18 to the pound, and 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $65.12 a barrel.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Edenvale area heading towards Bedford View. That's the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gillies interchange, and in Calvin, traffic remains sluggish heading towards Midrand N3 northbound from Marlborough Drive to the Butlu interchange.
In your sport, Nonkululeko Mlaba takes 4 wickets as South Africa dismissed New Zealand for 231. Raymond Mdaka proud as Amachita reached the FIFA Under-20 World Cup knockout stage. And Kaizer Chiefs to deal with Ntwari's defiance internally.
It's a fine day in Gauteng with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures have peaked at highs of between 29 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Justice Minister Mamulo Kukubai has called for an urgent meeting with senior members of the police over the death of Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Monday, the 6th of October. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you've made a good start to this week. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa today announced another plan to revive the economy. Same plan, different day, or does this new proposal offer something new? More on that in a moment. Some other stories we're covering. Hundreds of people marched in Pretoria today in protest against the blocking of their IDs. Why is this still a problem after a clear court ruling in this regard? Well, hear from Lita Litemba Stwai from Legal Aid, who took the matter to court in the first place. That's at 10 to 4. At the last general election, Rise Mzansi, Build One South Africa and the Good Party got just over 1% of the vote between them. Good enough for 5 seats in the 400-seat National Assembly. With that in mind, would their combined strength, as envisaged now in a new organisation, United for Change, deliver anything much different? More on that after 5 with political analyst Dr. William Gumede. And why have the peace talks in the DRC, about which there was great optimism and, of course, something in which South Africa has considerable skin in the game, why have these talks started to stall? More on that after 4. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news, news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets, where the All Share is down around 60 points, but still sky high, 109,720 points when last I looked. Gold shares having a good day. Anglo Gold up by 3.4%, DRD Gold by 2.5%. Advotech is up by 2.8%. On the downside, paper shares are getting pulped today. Mondi down by 15.6% and Sappi weaker by 8.7%. Blue Label is given back 3.2% today after a string of good results last week. The rand is currently trading at 17.25 Rand against the US dollar. A euro will cost you 20.15 Rand, 23.17 will get you a pound. The oil price has gone up by $1.03. Brent crude trading at $65.13 a barrel. Stephen Critters joins us with all the details at 25 minutes past 4. We'll get Sport with Tola Kele at about 20 minutes to 4. Khumotso Modise joining us at 3:30 with the latest news headlines. And in a moment, Karabo Chale is joining us with what he sees out on the roads that you need to know about. This is 702 Drive. We are live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you will get to hear about it here first. Of course, you can always help us with that, because there are stories that we're covering, stories we know about, and then there's stories we simply do not know about at all. But maybe you've seen something, heard something, or have a really good question or an angle perhaps on a story where we might be missing the point. 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. That's where you get us. This is 702 Drive. It's 11 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
We've got lots to talk about, lots to inquire about, lots to think about. And of course, there are those random thoughts that often produce some really interesting conversations. We were talking about movies and particularly the ways in which movies might have influenced us when we were younger. So the question is this: what did you see in a movie that you then tried at home? And how did it work out? Generally, these things involve some kind of epic or amusing failure, but hey, maybe you pulled it off. Your Patrick Swayze move had the desired effect because it was pulled off with a desired degree of excellence. Movie scenes that you brought home and the results thereof, please, on 072 702 1702. We started talking about this, Rifue Litsua, because a Bruce Lee movie had some consequences at your house.
Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. So we were massive fans of Bruce Lee. And my brother and I, obviously he was Bruce Lee and I was just a random opponent. So one day he was like, why don't we just try these moves, Rifue? Maybe we can do it. So Bruce Lee used to trip his opponents sometimes, right? And my brother decided to trip me without telling me. So all I can say is that my head hit the window and the window broke. And I started crying. He's like, but you said you were ready. You said you were ready. So he was busy unleashing the dragon and I was not ready, clearly.
Ha!
It was an epic fail.
And when you had to explain the broken window, what happened?
So I said to my mom, Mom, I love you. So I started with I love you first.
Okay.
And then I said he bullied me into fighting with him.
There we go. Was that a scream of anguish or was that your best Bruce Lee move?
Both.
Okay,
I haven't done that move in a while and that sound.
Karabo Malapile is sitting very close to you. Karabo, just keep an eye there. Huh? It's a very expensive equipment in the general vicinity. So, Jonathan Fairbairn, movie stuff, did you bring it home? Or I know that you trawl online, so you've probably got a good sense of the punters out there and what moves they might have pulled. But I don't know if there's anything you did when you got back from the flicks.
Yeah, afternoon, John, and to our 702 family. So I've tried the Happy Gilmore move where he smashes the golf ball. So, I mean, he does it so well and it goes straight.
Okay.
So, you know, he stands away from the ball and then he does like two major steps forward and then whacks the ball. I mean, I've tried that, hit many roofs on Copper Leaf before, so it doesn't work. It always goes right, and then hits the roofs of the accompanying houses on the side of the fairway.
Have you found any way to say, listen, now this isn't really my shot, this is my Happy Gilmore shot, but can I still have my first shot?
No mulligans in our school. No mulligans at all. And then one I have tried, and I'm sure many people have tried, is the Patrick Swayze and Baby. I can't remember what her name was. Nobody puts Baby in a corner. Remember at the end where he does that lift, where she runs to him and he picks her up and holds her above his head.
Yes.
Tried that, but only in the swimming pool.
Okay.
And luckily so, because the partner came crashing down.
I find it works well with a very sleepy cat, but it's not exactly a proper tribute to Patrick and his moves. How about you, Karabo Charlie? We were chatting a little bit earlier, and I saw a bit of a Jackie Chan look in your eye.
Yes, a lot of kung fu moves that I've done after watching a movie, and then you'll be opening the doors and you'll be like, wah! Anybody who's in the house or in the room, be aware, I'm in. But the most famous one that I've done was the Karate Kid one. You know, where he lifts up
the crane.
The crane.
It's called the crane, yeah.
Where he lifts up his hands and then his one foot, and then the opponents just run away because they know what's coming for them. So me and my friends, when we were having like a kung fu little, what is this? What can I call it? Fight or playing kung fu.
Yes.
I'll do that one, and they know, oh, the kick is coming. So
has anybody ever stayed to challenge you with the kicker?
The thing is that I'll do the move, but I don't have the guts to actually pull it through and hit somebody or kick somebody with it. So
something in me says, I need to challenge you.
Oh, you want a kung fu fight?
What the what?
Just do it away from the glass doors, in the studio.
I'll make sure my glasses are also off.
2 minutes past 6 on your own time. You can do whatever you like, but not in the studio. Yeah, mine was really silly. I mean, I can't remember what movie I went to, but when I was younger, mid-60s probably, Westerns were a very popular form of movie. And I got a whole set of Koki chalks and did myself up in war paint and came running into the house screaming. I think I was wearing pants, long pants, pajama pants and no shit. And there were a whole lot of very elderly relatives to whom all of this had to be explained. And a long bath. In fact, I don't think I've yet got all of it off. Koki chalks are not body paint. So, movie stuff that you brought into the home and with what results, please give us a call on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. It's 17 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Well, the first traffic report of what we hope will be a week in which it isn't too bad out on the roads, but there are a lot of people in Gauteng. A lot of things can go wrong. Anything so far, though?
Well, fairly quiet at this stage. No serious accidents have been reported on our highways. But yes, it is peak hour traffic already. So expect some delays. That's heading through Bedford View in Edenvale. Bumper-to-bumper traffic, R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange. Still in Bedford View, traveling towards Germiston. There's also slow-moving traffic on the N3 southbound from Linksfield Road to Van Buren. In Calvin, traffic sluggish. N3 north between Marlborough Drive and the Butler interchange. And also look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Midrand area at Olifantsfontein Road in the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
The charges that she's facing now, did that have anything to do, though, with the employment of this 22-year-old when this signature was allegedly used without the minister's approval?
I would not want to speculate, but rather let me focus on the unfair procedure which was meted out to Zanele Simons in this regard.
You're not able to say to us that when they say she used, allegedly, the electronic signature of the minister, what she had used that for, as per the charge sheet.
The charge does not really disclose that, except for saying that she used it to falsify CVs without proper authorization. And we want to state it before you that that is denied vehemently. That has not happened according to the instructions we have.
Paul Khoza is from the Paul Khoza attorney, represents Zanele Simon.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with me, John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m. Only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Spring is in the air, meaning it's almost time for the 10th SA Garden Day on Sunday, the 12th of October. Celebrate the day with a garden party, lunch under the trees, or cake at a community garden, and invite your friends, family, or neighbors to enjoy your garden with you. Visit gardenday.co.za for inspiration and share pictures of your celebration on social media with #GardenDaySA. SA Garden Day, Sunday the 12th of October.
Last orders coming through during your drive home or at midnight. Your customers check out whenever, wherever. With seamless payment integration and over 18 ways to get paid, PayFast by Network is built to keep up. And when it's time to grow, funding with Easy Advance helps you take the next step. Always open for late nights, for early starts, for you. Sign up today at payfast.io. PayFast has partnered with TimeBank to offer funding to your business.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Quick one here before we get into our next story. Nick sends us this. Says, I and a bunch of others got a WhatsApp from my sister requesting, I need 1,500 Rand urgently. Will you pay back tomorrow? Clearly sounds to me like a scam and a hack, but next question is very specific, and I'm hoping some smart people out there, of which we know there is a great abundance, will be able to answer his two questions. Does that mean you can no longer communicate with my sister on WhatsApp? And secondly, can they now hack me? My understanding is if you get any kind of message, WhatsApp, email, or anything else, from something that looks suspicious, it's always a bad idea to reply. What kind of vulnerability that creates, I don't really know. So, people, you've got next question. Please send us your answers and your insights and information. We'd really appreciate that, because these things happen often, and the wiser we get, the more damage we can limit. So please, 072 702 1702.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
22 minutes past 3 now. The ANC National Executive Committee have been in a special meeting over the last 2.5 days. I think certainly they've been at it for a while. One of the things coming out of it, apart from some fairly familiar stuff around corruption and local government elections and so on, is what is being described as a plan to kickstart the South African economy. So what's in the plan, and indeed, is this familiar stuff, or is there something new? Let's get the views of our colleague Alpha Ramushwana, EWN reporter, who's been out there at the Birchwood Hotel and listening in closely. Alpha, very good afternoon to you. How was the plan presented? Is it new stuff? Are they saying it's new stuff? Is it a new way of presenting stuff we've already done? Give us your overview, please. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tata John. Well, some of the things that the ANC presented today are things that they've been talking about for quite some time. They announced a 10-point plan for saving the country's economy. And over the past 2.5 days, the party has been meeting at the Birchwood Hotel, and one of the items that they spoke about is the economy. And one of the interventions in this 10-point economic action plan is to accelerate the recovery of the country's freight and logistics sector, which means that it involves making Transnet a priority, fixing and getting Transnet back on its feet a top priority. I mean, you would remember that 2 months ago, the Transport Minister announced that 11 train operators, private train operators, have been granted access to Transnet's rail network, meaning they can now operate their trains on the state's rail network. And the president, in his 10-point plan, said that bringing on the private sector on board with helping out Transnet is important, and that is one of the initiatives, or interventions rather, that will get the economy back on track. They also spoke about unemployment and labor. We know that the unemployment figure right now stands at about 33, just above 33%, and the ANC says it recognizes that if unemployment remains high, they cannot in no way deal with the unemployment crisis or the economy actually in the country. So Ramaphosa says one of the issues that they're going to deal with, which is in their action plan, is to fix unemployment. And once they fix unemployment, that's when they're going to see the economy starting to grow. They also want to establish an economic war room in the office of the presidency. This war room is going to monitor economic interventions, but it's a pity that we couldn't speak to the president today as the media, because the first question that I had is that we already have the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, which oversees and monitors government performance. Isn't this economic war room that the president wants to establish in his office going to clash with the duties of the minister in the presidency, Maropeni Ramokgopa, who's also the second Deputy Secretary General of the ANC? So those are some of the interventions that are in the ANC's economic action plan.
I mean, from what you've told me, and I haven't read through the plan yet, so let me make that disclaimer and indicate that I will read it a little bit more carefully. But Transnet, as I understand, it's been a priority for a long time. Fixing unemployment, yeah, I mean, you know, like world peace, it's a great idea. The big question is how and when, and, you know, what would count as a fix.
Yeah.
But the third thing is, why another war room? I mean, do we have room for another war room? of any kind? I mean, I don't know why they use these terms. Do they think that the public thinks, oh, it's called a war room? That means they're serious.
I mean, hence I'm making the point that it's a pity that we couldn't speak to the president today. We couldn't speak to the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, like we normally do. They said they'll make time for us, hopefully, throughout the week.
Yes.
Those are some of the questions that I would have loved to ask the ANC, that these two departments, the War Room and the Planning and Monitoring Department, they are definitely going to clash. And
maybe that's the war part of the
I guess the war is literal. But they're definitely going to clash, and those are some of the answers we would have loved to get from the president. But he says this war room is going to focus specifically on economic interventions to boost the economy, unlike the department which deals with everything when it comes to government performance.
I mean, thank you very much, Alpha Ramushwana. The office of the president has never been bigger under any other president before President Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, I don't know, is it the same people who are now going to be in a war room or whatever? I don't know. I would love to be wrong. But I do feel I've kind of heard this stuff before. Tell me, I'm really keen to know, by the way, give me a call on this. Do you guys have war rooms? Like if you work in corporates or maybe you work in a football club that's underperforming, do you call things war rooms? This idea of, in the United States, there's the war on drugs, and there's, I think before that, Richard Nixon, many years ago, declared war on cancer. Are you impressed when you hear the word war used as a signifier of intention to tackle a deep and profound and systemic problem? I mean, I'm not impressed, as you can probably hear, but maybe you are. If you are, by all means, tell me what it is about it that grabs you. 28 minutes past 3.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Right, let's turn to this. The South African Broadcasting Corporation have just been looking, they've published their annual report for 2024-2025, and there are always interesting things in that report. They were supposed to, for example, get a certain amount of money in TV license revenue, and they got 4.2 billion rand less than they expected. That indicates clearly that most South Africans are not paying their TV licenses. By the way, the net loss, 253.3 million rand, higher than the last year's results. Not dramatically so, but up again. Presumably, if everyone paid their license, because it is the right thing to do, we were told a few years ago, maybe these deficits wouldn't be as extreme. But has the TV license become uncollectible? William Bird is Director of Media Monitoring Africa and joins us on Afternoon Drive. Mr. Bird, welcome. Thanks very much for your time. The TV license is, it would seem, according to budgets, meant to be a very, very significant part of SABC revenue. But in a way, should they ever have been budgeting that much for that license, given how few people actually pay it?
Well, I think they were probably being optimistic about trying to get more people to pay. Maybe they were offered some better guarantees from the agencies that they usually subcontract to do the license collections for them. On the basis of those projections, they thought they would get.
Okay, let's try one more time, Mr. Bird. I wonder if you might move around a little bit and see if we can get you on a better signal. Yes, much better now. Please go ahead.
So I think they were probably optimistic, and maybe they were relying on some of the promises or forecasts that the agencies that they usually subcontract these things out to get them. But obviously that isn't the case. But we know that TV licenses in South Africa certainly aren't the most effective means of funding the public broadcaster, and this is why the department has issued a tender to find a better funding model. It's a pity it's 15 years too late, but still, at least hopefully we'll get somewhere in the next couple of years. But if we don't, SABC's financial perils will just deepen.
Is the license almost completely obsolete? I mean, there was a time when you paid your TV license because if you didn't, you wouldn't be able to watch anything, and there were certain constraints around buying a new TV and all those sorts of things. But in the age of streaming and the range of options available to people, is this a collectible source of revenue going forward?
So I think it is, but not in the way that it's been. There's talk of a public interest content levy, which would then be levied against all sorts of other devices, and hopefully not in the kind of manner that is. Because, of course, the problem with a TV license is that for middle-class people, it's not a lot of money, 267 Rand a year. But if you're living below the poverty line, then that is a huge amount of money. So expecting, all South Africans to contribute to that is a bit of an unreasonable ask. And certainly given the financial status of the majority of people in South Africa, it's really a bridge too far.
I wonder, though, if there was a survey that went to houses where there was a dish indicating that they are buying a paid-for service, whether those people actually pay their TV license. I mean, I get your point that, money is incredibly tight for many households, but I'm wondering if there are people who can clearly afford to pay for something, like DSTV, whatever package they get, but still don't pay their TV license because they just couldn't be bothered.
I mean, I'm sure that that's almost certainly the case. In fact, the SABC knows that that's certainly the case, and for the kind of upper middle class and upper echelons, they don't pay their license, let alone the ones that actually can't afford to.
Yes.
And of course, the irony is that we've still got 28% of our population rely exclusively on free-to-air for access to television, which means their only way of accessing is through a television. And you can bet that they aren't in a position to actually pay a TV license. So we've got to find better mechanisms of funding, the public broadcaster, essentially.
Thanks so much, William Bird, Director of Media Monitoring Africa. And I promise not to set the dogs of SABC war on you, but I mean, if you are paying your license, tell us why. If you're not, tell us why. I'd be interested to know. And of course, you can always remain anonymous. We will not shop you, I promise. 27 minutes to 4. Right, more news out of the National Consumer Commission. Another vehicle recall. Khumotso Modise has the details.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The National Consumer Commission has issued a notice on the recall of more than 12,000 BMW vehicles. The affected BMWs include specific BMW 3 Series, 4 Series, 5 Series, Z4, X3 and X4 models available in South Africa since 2016. NCC spokesperson Pheto Ndaba says BMW has recalled 12,491 vehicles. Ndaba says BMW owners should immediately contact their authorized dealerships to check if their vehicle is affected by the recall.
In the identified vehicles, water can enter the starter motor at certain points and cause corrosion. And when this happens, it can actually prevent the engine from starting, can lead to a short circuit and subsequently local overheating of the starter. And in worst cases, this may result in a vehicle fire.
As Eastern Cape municipalities come under flak for poor service delivery, Parliament has heard that millions of rands in government funding is not being spent and must be returned to the National Treasury. This has emerged at a meeting of the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Standing Committee on the Auditor General, which are on an oversight visit in the province this week. It's the fourth province being visited by the parliamentary committees as they grapple with the problems of the country's many local councils. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Parliamentarians have questioned how, with the massive infrastructure backlogs in the province, municipalities are not spending grants intended for this purpose. Over the past financial year, the province has had to return more than 300 million rand in unspent funding to the National Treasury. Finance MEC Mlungisi Mvoko says the two metro councils of Nelson Mandela Bay and Buffalo City are the biggest culprits of the underspending.
The province has made measurable strides in improving municipal financial management and governance, but the return on investment is not always evident.
Mvoko says there's little indication that the metros will improve in their infrastructure spending this year.
Your findings and the things that you're looking at and their responses are chalk and cheese. They have every reason and excuse not to perform.
Both metro councils, which have received qualified audits for the past financial year, are still due to present their side to Parliament. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Tanzanian police have warned against the use of social media to spread misinformation following a widely shared video of an alleged military officer criticizing the government 3 weeks ahead of general elections. In the video, the man accuses the government of corruption, rights violations, and political interference in the military. The purported officer urges Military Chief Jacob Mkunda to take action and ensure the country is united and uphold citizen rights. And the UK's Queen Camilla has led tributes for British author Gilly Cooper, who's died at the age of 88. Cooper was known for her raunchy romance novels and her series The Rutshire Chronicles. Her publishers have confirmed that she died on Sunday morning after a fall. Her steamy novels have been praised as an award-winning combination of glorious storytelling. It's a fine day in Gauteng today. The temperatures have peaked at highs of between 29 and 30 degrees.
In Randburg, heading towards Soweto, there's about a 20-minute delay on the N1 southbound between Malibongo Drive and Bears Nodia due to an accident scene. In Melrose, also expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. That's on the M1 northbound between Killarney Bends and Marlborough Drive. Calvin, also traffic a bit sluggish heading towards Midrand. N3 northbound from Marlborough Drive to the Between to change.
Story in Eyewitness News this hour. The National Consumer Commission has issued a notice on the recall of more than 12,000 BMW vehicles.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Is there a conflict in your role? Do you need to recuse yourself, or how are you going to proceed?
No, absolutely not. I'm hoping he'll finally apologise and retract the claims. He's up first, and certainly we can't have SAPS members attempting to shut down parliamentarians doing their job.
Are you expecting an apology, or are you expecting him to bring an application for you to recuse yourself?
Well, I'm not holding my breath. I don't believe he's the sort of person who would apologise.
Diane Kohler Barnard.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Experience extraordinary with the new iPhone 17, 256 gig from Vodacom, Zanzi's winning 5G network. More delightful, more durable, and now available. Get yours on a 3 gig Red Core plan from $899 per month over 36 months, plus a free extended warranty. Be the first to get it today. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Indwe, we take the time to understand your world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindwe.co.za. Indwe Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and listeners. In terms of your question about doing a scene out of a movie, not for me, but, I've been married for 30 years and my husband still talks about it when he sees it. And it is the Karate Kid, the first movie, the one where the sensei stands on the wood and tries that crane move. So he said to me, he was quite young, and every time he watches the movie, he's like, oh, if I knew that, and how the move was actually done, I would have done it much better. But, being a little boy, wasn't paying a lot of attention. And also we didn't have replays at that age, so if you watch the movie, there's no chance of pausing or, going back on it. So it was kind of had to do it from memory. But every time my husband sees the Karate Kid or the name or anything like that, he's like, oh, I remember doing that move so many times as a child. So definitely a good memory for my husband.
Scenes from movies that you acted out at home. Give us your story, please, on 072 702 1702. Still hoping for your responses on WhatsApps that come to you from somebody you know, but clearly from the content of the message, their phone has been interfered with. They've been hacked in some way. My understanding is you never respond and you don't try and WhatsApp them for as long as the phone appears to be in control of some malicious actor. You just don't do it. You avoid it as much as possible. If you get the message, does it mean your phone is in some way compromised? I don't know the answer to that, but people who know more about this stuff than I do, please give us a call. Nick would like some clarity as much as possible. Vaynant on TV licenses, by the way, says, I have a TV, but I use YouTube and download TV series, so my TV does not have an antenna plugged in. My understanding of TV licenses is that doesn't get you off the hook. As soon as you buy a TV, a television set, you are responsible for paying your TV license fee every year on an annual basis for as long as that TV set is yours. If you use it for any other purpose or in any other way that does not involve accessing either terrestrial or satellite TV services, neither here nor there, the TV license is payable on the television. Ne? Or have I got that wrong? Happy to be wrong. But Karabo,
I think you're perfectly right, because irrespective of what you're using the TV for, as soon as you buy the TV, you need to come with your ID and then also apply for the TV license. You can't have the TV without applying for the TV license, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Something else that maybe we can just get your help on. We've just had news that there may be a fire at the Charlotte Maxeke Johannesburg Academic Hospital. We haven't confirmed that, so I don't want to put this out there as if this is fact, but we're getting it from a couple of quarters. Anybody there, anybody in the area, anybody who works at Charlotte Maxeke, perhaps you can give us a call. We'll chase the story down. But the reason I'm asking your help is it does seem rather urgent for us to try and find out a little bit more. It's 17 minutes now to 4.
EWN Sport.
Women Proteas team in need of a result today. New Zealand batting first. We're in at the moment. Tola Kele has the details.
Thanks so much, John. And New Zealand posted 231 all out in the 48th over of their clash against South Africa. Sophie Devine top scored with 85, while Nonkululeko Mlaba finished with figures of 4 for 40. In response, the Proteas women are currently 40 for the loss of 1 in the 6th over. They need 192 runs for victory. Batting is Sunelus on 6 alongside Tasman Brits on 11. Switching over to football, where Amajita are through to the last 16 of the Under-20 World Cup. This follows their 2-1 win over the United States in their last group match. South Africa will next play Colombia on Wednesday, while coach Raymond Mdaka has congratulated his side for their resilience as South Africa reached the knockout rounds for the first time since 2009.
Obviously, you have your immediate goals, you have got the longer goals to say. First and foremost, you make sure that you go beyond the group stage. The next match is a different one because you will not play for a draw. So we'll grind, we'll continue with the same character, with the same spirit. Whoever we play with will show that we are South Africa and we are here to compete.
The Carling knockout quarterfinals will see Golden Arrows up against TS Galaxy. Orlando Pirates play defending champions Magesi. It's Richards Bay up against Durban City, while Marumo Gallants face off with Stellenbosch. Stallions advance after beating Kaizer Chiefs on penalties, but that was overshadowed by Chiefs keeper Faris Ntwari refusing to be substituted for Bruce Vuma. Co-coach Cedric Kaze has discussed whether there'll be consequences for his actions.
I believe in that kind of situation, it's something that we're going to handle internally, but he felt that he was comfortable to go on the penalty and help the team. He was coming from a good intention. Maybe the way wasn't as good as it should be, but it's something that we will address internally.
And world number 19, Daria Katsukina, has ended her season early as she admits she's at breaking point due to the WTA schedule, which she says requires too much from her mentally and emotionally. She switched nationality from Russia to Australia back in March after criticizing the country's LGBTQ+ laws along with the war in Ukraine, while she's also struggled for form this year as she failed to win a title and finishes her season with a 19-21 record. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
3:45 on 702 Drive. Let's get the latest from the roads. I believe Randburg is proving to be a little tricky today.
Yeah, you can expect about a 30-minute delay heading towards the Roodepoort area. That's in Randburg, N1 South, between Winnie Mandela Drive and Beyers Nordia due to an earlier accident, while in Melrose heading towards Midrand, also expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound between Killarney Bains and Marlborough Drive. In Calvin, leaving Alex, that's traveling towards Midrand. Still traffic sluggish on the N3 northbound from Marlborough Drive to the Betlu interchange. In Ekurhuleni, Edenville, traveling towards Bedfordview, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. interchange, and also in Edenvale heading towards Germiston. Traffic heavily backed up on the N3 southbound from Linksfield Road all the way to Van Buren. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So, Tola Kelly, we were asking about movie scenes that maybe in your adult life or even now or when you were a lot younger, you saw something on the movies, you came in and you said, maybe you didn't even speak about it. You and others started doing whatever it is that you had seen in the movies. Any instances of that? We've had some good stuff already.
Definitely Dream Girls. Whenever I'm wearing a wig, there's this one scene where Dina tells Effie we should turn the wigs around. It looks different. So whenever I'm wearing my wig, I'm always like, let's just turn the wig around like Dina. And then I do that. It doesn't look as cute. And whenever I'm in a fight with someone, and they're like, I'm tired. I'm like, baby, we're all tired, but I have to sing it in the way that they sing it in the movie.
Yes.
So I use like all the little catchphrases that they use in the song to just throw it at someone to be like, we've all got pain. Everybody has pain. So that's the funniest movie scenes that I always act out.
And how long have you been doing this for?
I watched the movie like back to back, I think when I was like 19 or 20.
Yes.
Everything about it stuck in my head and I've been using it for maybe 10 years now.
Does everybody in your circle know the movie, and does anybody like occasionally look at you and say, sorry, what?
Thankfully, TikTok does allow for little movie bits to be posted.
Yes.
But all my friends know that I'm a Beyonce fan. So
Yes.
they make sure they've watched the movie to know my references.
Okay.
Yes, have you watched, do you know Tompo? Well, according to the pronunciation, it's pronounced Tongpu. It's from that Van Damme, Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. So Tompo was the one with the ponytail.
Okay.
And then before a fight, he would kick and punch the wall.
Oh, right.
And that's what, like, we would have this challenge with our friends saying, while we're warming up, we're kicking the walls. And it didn't turn out that well because some of us got hurt.
Yeah, and the wall's still fine.
The wall's perfectly fine.
The wall is exactly where the wall always was, doing what walls always do. Okay, movie scenes that you have taken them and brought the what you got from the movie into your home environment, and how did that turn out? Still to come on 702 Drive. Very good news for South African football. Our under-20 World Cup team are actually doing really well. They beat a very highly rated and tough United States team 2-1, and that sees them into the round of 16. They'll be playing on Wednesday up against Colombia, the tournament taking place in Chile. And we'll be chatting to Coach Raymond Mdaka just as soon as we get him on the line from South America. 702 Drive, 11 minutes to 4.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Olani Kumalo is stepping from the screen into politics. Olani, what are you offering the residents?
Residents need jobs, residents need services, residents need homes.
Olani, almost every municipality, certainly every metro, has exactly those needs.
Ekurhuleni is infested by criminals. Law and order is what Ekurhuleni is.
Action SA's mayoral candidate for Ekurhuleni, he got them on TV, Uzobatola from the mayor's office. Are you convinced?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity, a steady rhythm and pattern, patients attended to on time, medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm, and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders. We go there.
We're gonna make insurance great again. We're gonna build a wall around high premiums. A big wall. The best wall. And guess what? You're not paying for it. We're gonna grab poor service by the policy. It's gonna be tremendous. Believe me.
This message has absolutely nothing to do with the US government. It's paid for by the King of Insurance, who's making insurance great again. Get a quote now. It'll be the best decision, people are saying, ever. King Price is a licensed FSP. No fake news, just lacquer insurance.
702 WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. On the issue of TV licenses, my suggestion is that the government needs to charge the manufacturers or the retailers, and then the retailers trickle down that charge in they embed it into the price of the television sets. Because if you're gonna ask me to pay my TV licenses, I will not do that.
Hi, John. I just want to weigh in on this TV license story. When you buy a TV from these so-called spaza shops, they sell TVs, mainly the small TVs. They don't issue licenses. They don't require your ID, or do they? Just a question.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, they may well be required to. Do they actually do it and go about issuing those TV licenses? I'm really not terribly sure. Give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. I asked if any of you have war rooms in the place where you work, or is this now something that has strictly become a bit of government speak? Yeah, I've been Googling. I mean, it is a concept in business, but I've never worked anywhere where they've said, I think we're going to create a war room. Now, we've got a couple of people are now saying that there is, in fact, a fire at Charlotte. Matlake emergency vehicles underway. Please, if you do work there or know anybody, give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. We'd like to get as clear an idea as possible as to what's happening there, and hopefully lives are not under threat in any way. TV licenses, Karen says, I pay every year. I just do. I do it to watch sport. And this one here, the SABC billing of TV licenses is a mess, says Rob. I've been out of the country since 2018. I've informed the SABC multiple times, and yet I get threatening text messages on a daily basis to pay my TV license. 702 Drive.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Okay, 6 minutes now to 4 o'clock. Let's focus on the under-20 national team. They've done really, really well so far. Tough group, lost to France, beat New Caledonia, which was considered the soft team in the group, and then they beat a very strong and highly rated American team 2-1, despite going down early to a 12th-minute goal. So, into the last 16, Amajita go to take on Colombia. We're joined now by Coach Raymond Mdaka, who is with us on the line. Coach, very good afternoon to you. And first of all, well done on the progress that you've made. Tough game against the United States, especially falling behind. What are your players doing that is particularly making you happy and confident?
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon to you that side, because it's still morning on our. I think it's just a question of mental setup, because we know how much they can do, but in this kind of tournament of this level, then it's something that has to do with mental setup and the character, just to put up everything that you can. And I think sometimes it works well, like we did yesterday. I think the boys did very well. They showed character. They adapted tactically to how we wanted to see them playing. And I think that's all that.
Yeah, I mean, Coach, what are the players learning? Because obviously African champions, and they have had big tournament experience before, but they're up against players they would never have encountered in the ordinary run of African football or COSAFA competition. They're learning about the French style. They've played the Americans. Now you've got to figure out the way the Colombians play. presumably I would think they're having a lot of fun, but I would think too, if they look into the longer timeline of a potential professional career, they must be learning a huge amount.
Once you share with them to make them understand that football is always also a path wherein one can learn. You playing this year, you playing the following year, you playing in different levels. So from your natural abilities, you tend to start putting it into your mind and understand football better, more especially tactically, because technically it's something that you can train and prepare and be good on your own with the development structures and so on. But the most difficult aspect is when it comes to your mindset, your understanding of the tactics, your understanding of being a professional footballer, wherein you need to be tactically disciplined in how you approach the game and a lot of things. But all I can say is a learning curve. Since we started with the COSAFA, went to the AFCON, and now we are in the World Cup. Obviously, much as it will not be everything, but I think they are learning bit by bit.
Of course, if you manage to win and beat Colombia, and we're all holding thumbs that you do, awaiting you is the country of either Spain or Ukraine, who were runners-up in 2019. I mean, the competition keeps coming. Coach, how are you doing your scouting and your preparations? I mean, are you sitting and looking through lots of video? Have you got scouts at your opponents' venues? How are you going about it?
I think we do a multiple of things in order, because it's a national team.
Yes.
You will have people asking you with players who are abroad. You will have to go to the DDCs. You will have to go to the engine. You will have to go to all these development tournaments that are happening. You have to connect and interact with clubs. It's a whole lot of things that is interwoven. Where you try, much as you will not cover, the country is so big, and you might miss some of the players somewhere, but we do as much as we can to be able to cover a range of players in terms of where they are, where they are playing. It's a whole lot of work, honestly.
And just finally, one of our listeners, Raymond, is saying, please ask him if any big clubs have shown interest in his boys. I guess that is a feature of tournaments, that there are scouts, there are agents, there are all sorts of people who might be interested in getting a phone number, maybe even getting a signature. First of all, to Raymond's question, Coach, any interest in being shown in players? And secondly, how do you make sure that it doesn't become a distraction?
We have agreements with our players. We know that these players belongs to agents. Agents are assisting them. They belong to clubs, but there's no way we can stop agents from coming to the tournaments to watch the players.
Right.
But then we got the players from the team, so we respect the teams, and we advise them to say, any communication, let it be through the teams. We don't want to get a situation where players are being pressurized by agents coming, where they can come, great, and go, but we don't open it up on the basis that we want to make them to remain focused. They know how best they can do for them to be able to get, maybe interact with the players, or maybe go to the team as they did earlier on. We try as much as we can to make sure that we don't open it up for everybody in the camp.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on what you've achieved so far, and the very, very best of luck. I'm sure not just from our team, Raymond Mdaka, but also from all of our listeners. It's fabulous. I do love these under 20, under 18, under 17 tournaments in all sports. They really do give you some idea of who might be coming through. And it's not always the case, of course, because much can happen between young promise and professional fulfillment. But if you look at the player of the tournament at this tournament in the past, 1979, Diego Maradona. 1999, the Malian great Seydou Keita. 2005, Lionel Messi. 2013, Paul Pogba. They keep coming. Maybe it'll be a South African name. Let's hope so. It's 4 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Firefighters extinguish a blaze at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital, and Justice Minister calls for an urgent meeting over Nathi Mthethwa's death. Good afternoon, I'm Khomozo Modise. Firefighters have managed to extinguish a blaze that broke out at the Charlotte Maxeke Academic Hospital in Parktown in Johannesburg this afternoon. The blaze ripped through a ward on the 9th floor at the facility with no deaths or injuries reported and no major disruptions to services. Emergency service teams say the cause of the fire is still unclear at this stage, nor is the extent of the damage. Jabli Lambata is there.
Ward 196 on the 9th floor at the hospital has been closed off as a cleanup operation is underway. Security personnel are keeping a close guard of the entrance to the ward. Patients have also been relocated to other wards and all beds have been removed from the affected area. While the hospital continues to operate as normal, a full report is expected over what happened and how much damage has been done. Jabuli Limbata, Eyewitness News, Charlotte Maxeke Hospital.
Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubai has called for an urgent meeting with senior members of the police over the death of Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa. Mthethwa, who was serving as South Africa's ambassador to France, died last week in a Paris hotel. The circumstances surrounding the 58-year-old's passing remain under police investigation. Mongezi Koko reports.
A team of 5 senior officers from the South African Police Service have been deployed to France to work with French authorities. Speaking to EWN, the Mthethwa family said preliminary information and hotel footage suggest there was no foul play, with only Mthethwa seen entering the room. The Justice Department says Minister Kubai's meeting with SABC aims to clarify a formal request for assistance and to ensure that the investigation is transparent and thorough. It stressed that the repatriation process will follow normal protocol and that the priority remains uncovering the truth behind Mthethwa's death. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
Home Affairs Deputy Director General Thomas Sigama has promised protesters outside the department's head office in Pretoria that they'll expedite the process of lifting blocks on IDs. Sigama addressed the group led by civil movement Soil of Africa this afternoon as they demonstrated over thousands of IDs which they claim have been wrongfully blocked. This comes after the department blocked at least 2 million IDs flagged for potential fraud. Last month, the group handed over a memorandum with a list of demands which they claim have been ignored, prompting them to take to the streets again today. Thando Luhle is in Pretoria and filed this report.
In January last year, after a legal challenge by human rights lawyers, the Pretoria High Court ruled that the department failed to follow proper procedure when blocking the IDs. The department was then required to re-legitimize the blocked IDs and grant affected individuals an opportunity to make representations. According to the department, the blocked IDs saga dates back to 2005 and is a result of errors that were made in the National Population Register. In last year's court order, the department was given 2 years to resolve the matter, and Deputy Director General at the department, Thomas Sigama, says strides have been made.
But today we are happy to inform you that we have already unblocked more than 2.1 million.
At least 3,000 people are still sitting with blocked IDs, which the department will start working on tomorrow. Thando Luhle, Eyewitness News.
The lawyer for accused number 3, Stanley Skosana, in the murder trial of ANC politician Sindiso Makaka, says he's not ready to proceed with trial yet. Advocate Christo van Skalkwyk is now representing the former Umzimkhulu municipal manager in the high-profile murder case. Skosana has joined his co-accused after he was denied bail in the Umzimkhulu Magistrates Court last month. The group faces a string of charges, including murder and conspiracy to commit murder, among others. Nhlanhla Mabaso has more.
The 3 remaining accused in the matter appeared together for the first time at the Pietermaritzburg High Court. Accused 1 is former police officer Sibusiso Ngengwa, accused 2 businessman Mbulelo Mpofana, and accused 3 former municipal manager Stanley Skosana. However, when the proceedings got underway, Skosana's lawyer, Advocate Christo van Skalkwyk, senior counsel, addressed the court.
Main reason, however, is that we can't and we could not, up until now, consult properly to make a defense, and we believe that it would not be in the interest of justice if we simply adjourn.
He says he needs more time to prepare himself.
But the accused cannot at this stage, we submit, have a fair trial because we are simply not in a position to proceed.
The state is not opposed to the request, as it also requests time to file its affidavits. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Pietermaritzburg.
And U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Hamas and Israeli negotiators gathering in Egypt for crucial talks aimed at ending the war in Gaza to move fast. Trump says there have been very positive discussions with the Palestinian armed group. Both Hamas and Israel have responded positively to Trump's roadmap for an end to the fighting and the release of captives in Gaza in exchange for Palestinians held in Israeli jails, though the details remain to be ironed out. The Israeli delegation will depart for the country today, according to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office. Trump has sent two emissaries to help finalize the deal, his special envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner.
The countries of the world, a lot of the countries surrounding Israel, frankly, Muslim, Arab, and many others, have had great meetings with Hamas, and it looks like it's working. So we'll wait for a little while, see how it all turns out.
Gold is trading at $3,944.65 an ounce. The rand's at 17.22 to the dollar, 23.19 to the pound, and 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude is at $65.12 a barrel.
Randburg, we still have about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N1 southbound from Winnie Mandela Drive all the way to Bayers Nordia due to an earlier accident. Also in the Alex area heading towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound between Modderfontein Road and Van Buren, and we still have slow-moving traffic through the Melrose area heading towards Midrand. That's the M1 northbound between Killarney Bends and Marlborough Drive.
In your sport, Nonkululeko Mlaba takes 4 wickets as South Africa dismissed New Zealand for 231. Raymond Daka proud as Amajita reached the FIFA Under-20 World Cup knockout stage. And Kaizer Chiefs to deal with Ntwari's defiance internally.
It's a fine day in Gauteng with scattered afternoon showers and thunder showers. The temperatures have peaked at highs of between 29 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: firefighters have managed to extinguish a fire that broke out at the Charlotte Maxeke Academic Hospital in Parktown, Johannesburg this afternoon.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. It's good to have you with us on the show. Coming up in a moment, we're going to find out what's happening out at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital, hoping that they're getting that fire under control. We're going to be talking about blocked IDs. Now, there was a substantial demonstration outside Home Affairs in Marabastad in Tshwane today. People saying their lives have been absolutely wrecked in many instances and put on hold in many others. Often the two things go together. But what's this issue of blocked IDs all about? There were certainly court judgments in the past that ought to have made this a thing of the past. Why is it still a problem? That story in a moment when we talk to Lita Litemba Stwai, who is at LegalWise South Africa. We will then take a look at something well north of our borders, but of real importance to South Africa. The question of whether that peace deal struck in the DRC between Rwanda and rebels on the one hand and the Democratic Republic of Congo government on the other. Reports we're seeing is that the deal is not holding as well as people had hoped. Dr. Oluwole Ojewale joins us from the Central Africa Institute for Security Studies. That's coming up shortly on 7:02 Drive. It's 10 past 4. A lot of you have had things to say about TV licenses and a couple of the other topics we've raised as well. For example, things you saw in the movie that you attempted at home. How did that turn out? Let's hear.
7:02. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good day, John. My name is Daniel. On the TV license issue, I just want to know what happens, what should actually happen if you've had no TV, say for a year or so. What happens then? Do you continue paying for the TV license even when you don't have any TV? I just want to understand, and I think maybe the government should come up with the way, just like with the DSTV, that you pay as you use. Maybe I think that will work.
Hi, talking about how films influenced one. I had a very daring son who's much older now, of course, but when he saw the Superman film, he decided he had his Superman outfit on, I think, and I think he climbed up on the roof and tried to fly down. Fortunately, no harm was done.
This is regarding that TV license comment is happening in talks. If you go and read the Constitution on the word TV license, just because it says TV license doesn't mean it's only for TVs. It's for broadcasting. It's actually, the original name is a broadcasting license. Even if you got a radio and you're picking up FM, how do you think you all should be paid? Through nothing or through some form of listener contributions? And that's what the license is for, is so that you can pick up radio, TV, communications. So yeah, just as an FYI, Anonymous from Johannesburg.
Yeah, thank you. And another FYI from CJ, because I said I thought the license license obligation kicked in as soon as you buy a TV. But CJ is questioning that and says, I worked for a local TV and IT hardware assembler and distributor, and I recall the TV license requires the use of a TV tuner or any device that can receive a TV broadcast signal. This often meant that PCs and screens without tuners don't require a license, effectively creating a loophole by purchasing a PC and connecting it to a monitor, which is not a TV by definition, without the tuner, and then streaming services once you've done that. So it all thickens, the plot does. If you can shed some more light. I do seem to remember that as soon as you buy a TV, somehow you got to buy a license, but I could be wrong. 7:02 Drive, it's 13 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
Eyewitness Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. We had problems in Randburg earlier. I think we still have problems in Randburg right now. Karabo.
Yeah, that's due to an earlier accident scene. That's you can expect about an hour delay. That's in the Randburg area heading towards Roodepoort, N1 southbound between Winnie Mandela Drive and Beyers Nodia. In Melrose, also expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound heading towards Midrand between Killarney Baines and Marlborough Drive. Calvin also traveling towards Midrand. Traffic sluggish. N3 northbound from Marlborough Drive to the Butclean interchange. In Alexandra heading towards Germiston, also expect about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive all the way to Van Buren. Edenvale, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading into Bedford View on the R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Gilulis interchange in Tshwane. Pretoria North, traffic heavily backed up on Paul Kruger. This is between Eskiam Pahlele and Rachel de Beer. It's not clear what's causing this delay, but from my radar, it looks like Rachel de Beer Road is closed off to traffic. So if you are in and around that area on that route, please let us know what's the situation. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. And if you are leaving the Pretoria CBD as well, traffic pressure in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele between Boomhagen and the R80. The next traffic report will be just after 4:30.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a couple stealing glances at each other. In a week, their lives will change forever as they exchange their I-do's. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a love story on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, before we get into that blocked ID story, let's just catch up with what's happening at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. Our EWN colleague Jabulile Mbata is there with the very latest. Jabulile, what's happening? First of all, is the fire still burning, and what can you tell us about what's happened so far? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. I can safely say that calm has been restored at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. As you enter, it really is business as usual. What we do know is that there was a fire that broke up at the 9th floor, which is a female's ward. We're just waiting for details about what caused the fire or really what the extent of the damage is. But again, the fire has been contained. Firefighters have even left the hospital, but right now what we're waiting for is just confirmation from the spokespeople of the hospital to let us know exactly what the details of the incident are. We were not allowed to go in and actually see the damage, so we've got security personnel standing at the entrance of the ward, and they strictly said that they would have to get permission from the hospital management, which we are now waiting for to get more details about what happened.
What kind of details do we have, if any, at the moment about what caused the fire? I mean, is it, and you say it's in a ward, so was this caused by something going wrong in the ward, or did somebody actually start the blaze?
I can't confirm any of those details right now, whether it was caused by someone or, maybe it's an electric fault or anything. We don't have those details, but there is no, people moving around patients. There's no patients moving around because I assume they've been just relocated. We've got the staff just cleaning up. You can see the wet floors still and fire extinguishers still on the corridor of the hall, so we're not sure how bad it was, but just standing there, you can't even smell the smoke. So my assumption or rather observation would be that it was a small fire, but we are yet to confirm those details.
Great. Well, it's good to hear that it is nothing anywhere near as severe as that fire back in 2021. Great relief there. Jabulile Mbata sticking around at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital, and she'll give us an update as soon as she has the news. 18 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, a large march and protest led by the civic organization called Soil of Africa to the Home Affairs Office in Marabastad in Tshwane was prompted by huge frustration from the participants at the blocking of their IDs. Now, this is a matter that was supposed to have been dealt with in a court case some time ago, although a subsequent appeal to the courts gave Home Affairs a certain amount of time in order to set about unblocking the IDs. But what was the fundamental problem that led to this in the first place? Lita Litemba Stwai is manager of the Impact Litigation Unit at LegalWise South Africa, and she joins us now on 702 Drive. Ms. Stwai, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. Why do we still have this problem? I mean, there was a court decision. I know that Home Affairs have till 2027 to finally solve the problem, but it does seem to be a very substantial one, nonetheless. What's still going on that's causing people so much heartache?
Firstly, thank you for having me on your show, John. And I think with this issue, it's the fact that it's been so long. It's been 10 years, it's been 20 years that people have had this issue. Yes, it was in court, and we got the court order in January of 2024. In January of 2025, that was the deadline the department had to look into the cases of blocked IDs and verify the people's identity and then unblock them, or either go to court to have the individual cases still blocked. But due to the fact that they're saying that it's a security risk to just unblock everyone, they then came to court in March of this year to then request a further extension until 2027. The unfortunate thing is that it seems as though that there's no actual process to unblocking, even though the department is empowered to give IDs and to have people's IDs be functional. They are able to block them, but seemingly because there's no legal or law that shows how to unblock them,
right,
it seems that is the issue.
I mean, I would have thought out of the original court case in which Home Affairs was given its marching orders, there would have been some decisive move either to change legislation or adjust regulations.
I think that was what we were all hoping for, because without pointing fingers, it is an issue that the department is the one that's in charge of it. So we just want a solution for not only our members, but also the millions of South Africans whose IDs are blocked, because it doesn't only impact the blocked ID holder, it's their children. They can't register their children, and that impacts access to education. And I think that's partly why we had the access to education cases for undocumented children, because 80% of the undocumented children in South Africa are South African.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand though. I mean, from the original number, when you and others first went to court, it does seem they've made headway. How have they managed to make the headway they have made? I mean, have they literally had to deal with every single one of them on a case-by-case basis?
Yes, and I think as of today, there might be 600,000.
Right.
So when we entered the case, there was about 800,000, and those are numbers we got because the department had to answer to Parliament as to this exact issue, and they stated that there were 800,000 people. And out of that 800,000, 500,000 of those people were duplicates. So it's me sharing an ID number with another person, or me getting two ID numbers. And all of this I'm getting from the department. So in our case, we're also trying to find out what is the process. There's no regulations that we can see. We hope that you'll make regulations.
Yes.
But from last year in August, they said people must email a particular person if they have a blocked ID. But then in this January, March case, they stated that that process didn't work out. And again, we need to also look at the demographics of people who have blocked IDs, people coming from rural areas, people who won't have access to email addresses. So when it comes to this issue, it's so important that the process to unblocking, whatever that process is that the department gets to decide, they need to make sure it's accessible to the ordinary person.
And I mean, just finally, the thing I'm trying to better understand is, if this is going to get sorted out, are you going to have to go back to court, or is it simply a question of getting Home Affairs to do what they undertook to do?
So it is getting them to do what they undertook to do. They have gotten the extension until 2027. We are hoping in that time that we're not in the same position again where we have to go back to court.
Yes.
Because that would have defeated the purpose. And again, we have checks and balances. The judiciary is there to make sure that the other departments or legs of government are doing their work. So we're hoping, but again, this is the information that the department has, and we are not necessarily privy to it. So we're still counting our members that don't have IDs that are unblocked. We're still looking at people still coming to our organizations and organizations like LHR with the same issue. We were hoping that we would receive less of that, but seemingly since when the case was brought, there's more people coming out and saying, I have a blocked ID.
Thanks so much. Lita Litemba Stwai is manager of the Impact Litigation Unit at LegalWise South Africa. If you've been afflicted with this problem of a blocked ID, give us a call. How's it affected you? How has it affected your family? Give us a call. 24 minutes past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Well, I don't need to remind you that South Africa has been involved in the conflict in the eastern DRC on the border between that country and Rwanda. South African soldiers paying with their lives for that last year. There has been a move towards peace, but there are questions now being asked about why the DRC and neighboring Rwanda will not be signing an economic framework this week, which is a key part of the deal, given the extent to which this mineral-rich region and its wealth is riven in this kind of conflict by people wanting to control access to metals like tantalum, cobalt, copper, and lithium. So what should we make of the fact that this economic deal is now on hold? Dr. Oluwole Ojewale is regional coordinator at the Central Africa Institute for Security Studies. Dr. Ojewale, welcome, and thanks very much for your time. What do you make of the fact that this deal won't be signed this week? Good afternoon to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I work with the Institute for Security Studies based in Dakar, Senegal. Our headquarters is in Pretoria in South Africa. So not really Central Africa. I only coordinate for the Central Africa region.
Okay.
I want to quickly make that clear. And then going to your question, really, it's like the aphorism that you can't put nothing on something on nothing. There is really no commitment to see to the ending of the hostility between the two countries, particularly among the peacemakers that we've seen, whether it is the agreement that was signed in Washington or the interventions that we've seen from the East African community or Qatar. And the reason is simple. You can't force peace deal on the parties. And to the extent to which that commitment is not there, it implies that you can only have a guarantee for peace when the two parties that are involved are really interested in fostering peace. And that is the reason why it appears like the new agreement that you mentioned, you will see that after the Washington, they've gone to Qatar. We've had the Nairobi process. We have the Luanda process. Both parties are not really committed to peace. And that is the reason why it looks like one step forward and two step backward conversation.
So let me ask you a little bit about this economic framework, Dr. Ojewale, because, if two countries or more than two that are in broad terms, getting along well together, then the economic framework is really about kind of positive intention. Is this framework, though, looking to regulate that part of the conflict that is rooted in economic resources and conflict over who gets to benefit from them?
I've had the privilege of working in Eastern DRC, and I traveled to the two areas of South and North Kivu that are presently embroiled in the crisis. And if you talk to a Congolese on the street, there is increasing accusation that Rwanda is profiting at their expense as coltan and cobalt and other minerals are being extracted from DRC and smuggled to Rwanda. And there's a palpable concern that whatever Rwanda declares as the surplus of the mineral that is mined in the country actually came through the back of Eastern DRC. So when you have such mistrust among both parties and is rife on the streets, talking about economic framework to make that work is like putting the cart before the horse.
Right.
The real issue are the sociological issues that need to be addressed in terms of the identity crisis that struded all these whole conflicts that has lasted for more than 3 decades. So I think jumping to be developing economic framework is just like the peacemakers trying to force the peace deal down the throats of the people that are not ready to really embrace that. Because largely all the peace conversation has been top down, not really bottom up.
Thank you so much. Dr. Oluwole Ojewale is with the Institute for Security Studies, Regional Coordinator for Central Africa, who is on the line to us from Dakar in Senegal, 29 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Critters, a very good afternoon to you. A new trading week underway. What have we seen so far?
Good afternoon to you, John. Well, what we gain on resources, we lose on industrials. Thanks, Mondi. The JSE All Share up 0.11% overall, 109,898 points. Financials up 1.81. Industrials down 1.4. And resources up 1.07. So the gold price breaking new records over the weekend, heading, it would seem, for that $4,000 an ounce mark. But shares and paper maker Mondi bringing down resources. John, this is extraordinary. They're at their lowest levels in 12 years today. They're down 16% on the day. They put out an update saying they're experiencing both low demand and low prices. They've actually extended maintenance shutdowns at some of their factories because of that lower demand. It's reorganizing itself. It's going from 3 divisions to 2, and it expects these tough conditions to last for the rest of the year. So investors saying, well, okay, we don't really want that. So Mondi are down 6%. SAP happy. In the same business, of course, they're down nearly 11% on the day. Blue Label down 5.07%, and MTN down 2.3%, while Vodacom are down 2%. Still, of course, lots going on around the situation. Eltron, by the way, confirming they believe their headline earnings for the 6 months to the end of August will be up by around 20%. The group says their group operations headline earnings up by 15%. Gold, just astonishing, John. So DRD Gold, Anglo Gold, both up by around 4%. Glencore up 2.39%, First Rand up 2.37%, and Harmony up 2% on the day. The main indices in the US opening higher, so there's a big sort of a chip supply tie-up with AMD and OpenAI. It does seem that more of the sort of froth and excitement around AI is kind of overpowering the concerns around the federal government shutdown. The Dow Jones now down 0.5%, the Nasdaq up 0.31%, the S&P 500 up 0.05%. The gold price $3,942.93. Platinum up to $1,639.80. Brent crude $65.30. The rand to the dollar 17.22, to the euro 20.15, to the British pound 23.20. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Let's catch up with the very latest eyewitness news now at 28 minutes to 5. Kumotso Modise with the details.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. In an effort to monitor government's plans to improve the economy, the ANC has proposed the establishment of a war room within the presidency. The ANC's National Executive Committee met in Boksburg over the past 3 days to discuss the country's struggling economy. The party has established what it calls a 10-point economic action plan, which aims to drive economic growth in the near future. Delivering the closing address at the NEC meeting today, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says the economic war room will come in handy to ensure plans are implemented.
The NEC resolved that an economic war room should be established in the presidency to coordinate cross-government performance, monitoring, and publish regular scorecards on progress. Fundamental to the success of these efforts will be sound institutional governance.
The National Consumer Commission has issued a notice on the recall of more than 12,000 BMW vehicles. The affected BMWs include specific BMW 3 Series, 4 Series, 5 Series, Z4, X3 and X4 models available in South Africa since 2016. NCC spokesperson Phetho Ndaba says BMW has recalled 12,491 vehicles. Ndaba says BMW owners should immediately contact their authorized dealerships to check if their vehicle is affected by the recall.
In the identified vehicles, water can enter the starter motor at certain points and cause corrosion. And when this happens, it can actually prevent the engine from starting, can lead to a short circuit and subsequently local overheating of the starter. And in worst cases, this may result in a vehicle fire.
In the Western Cape, the National Roads Agency says the Huguenot Tunnel structural integrity remains sound, but critical repairs are needed. Engineering assessments were conducted over the weekend after a bus caught alight inside the tunnel on Friday. The ceiling and roadway did not suffer much damage, but some wall panels and cabling system needs replacing. Head of the Fire Engineering Research Unit at Stellenbosch University, Professor Richard Walls.
One of the biggest things is already in motion, that they are upgrading the Huguenot tunnel to have a second tunnel open. So also if there's an incident on one side, then they'll be able to close down one tunnel and keep the second one operational. In addition to that, I understand that they'll be installing fire suppression systems.
And in Tanzania, police have warned against the use of social media to spread misinformation following a widely shared video of an alleged military officer criticizing the government 3 weeks ahead of general elections. In the video, the man accuses the government of corruption, rights violations, and political interference in the military. The purported officer urges military chief Jacob Mkunda to take action and ensure the country is united and upholds citizens' rights. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. The temperatures drop to overnight lows of between 12 and 14 and will reach highs of between 28 and 30.
In Randburg, you can expect about an hour delay heading towards Rudaport. That's the N1 southbound between Winnie Mandela Drive and Bears Nodia due to an earlier accident. Also in Edenvale, that's heading towards Bedford View. There's about a 30-minute delay on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. And if you're in Pretoria North, traffic heavily backed up on Paul Kruger. This is between Eskiam Pahlele and Rachel de Beer.
The top story in Eyewitness News: in an effort to monitor government's plans to improve the economy, the ANC has proposed the establishment of a war room within the presidency.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Olani Khumalo is stepping from the screen into politics. Olani, what are you offering the residents?
Residents need jobs, residents need services, residents need homes.
Olani, almost every municipality, certainly every metro, has exactly those needs.
Ekurhuleni is infested by criminals. Law and order is what Ekurhuleni is.
Action SA's mayoral candidate for Ekurhuleni, he got them and on TV, Uzobatola from the mayor's office. Are you convinced?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Ready to lead the future of business? At Wits Business School, leaders don't just adapt, they define what comes next. Choose from a wide range of postgraduate programs designed to develop your leadership and strategic thinking skills. Whether you're looking to deepen your expertise or broaden your horizons, there's a qualification for you. At Wits Business School, ambition becomes leadership. Visit wbs.ac.za to find the program that's right for you. That's wbs.ac.za.
You could spend 10 minutes on social media or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 GWMP series, 54-year-old Amos now pays only 1,004 Rand a month. And for his 2024 Toyota Urban Cruiser, 55-year-old Andre pays just 776 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
CIRA is reintroducing printed ink certificates, now available as a paid optional service. You can now request your printed certificate online and collect it at your nearest CIRA branch. This service is in response to industry requests. Remember, your digital certificate remains valid and you can view it online. For more information, please contact 086-1333-850 or info@cira.co.za.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon to you and the listeners. My mother is one of the people whose ID was blocked. She was actually born in Sophia Town in the 60s. No, in the 50s. She was born in 1956 at Sophia Town. So can you imagine? She was born the side, just that her father and mother was not from this side. But both of them got citizenship, and she also obtained citizenship while she was in South Africa. Worked for the government for 40 years and went on retirement. The day she went on retirement is the time they actually blocked the ID. She submitted all the documents that she was supposed to submit at Home Affairs, and they still said she did fraudulent. She was fraudulently obtained the ID. Can you imagine? But there's all the evidence. She submitted everything. She wrote that essay that they wanted, and they still said, nope, you fraudulently, got your ID.
Yeah, this blocked ID thing is really terrible. I mean, I do understand that there is a process whereby Home Affairs on the one side is under pressure to make sure that all IDs are valid, that they deal with the legal acquisition of IDs by people who pay bribes to public officials who accept them. But when people demonstrate that they are legitimately entitled to the ID, it seems to take an inordinately long period of time for them to get what they should get by right, but crucially to be able to get on with their lives. So keep those coming, please. I do want to hear your stories about being caught up in the blocked ID world. It's 20 to 5.
EWN Sport.
Well, after losing their very first game and by some margin, South Africa's women cricketers playing a crucial match against New Zealand out at the World Cup in the Indian subcontinent. Tolakele Mganga has that story and a whole lot more.
Thanks so much, John. And the Proteas women are chasing 232 for victory against the White Ferns. They're currently at the crease on 131 for the loss of 1 in the 22nd over. They now need 101 runs for victory. Batting is Tasman Brits on 66 alongside Sunelus on 38. Switching over to football, Wembegezeli Mbogazi continues to impress, this time around with his goal scoring, as he netted the winner in Orlando Pirates' win over Sewelele in the Carling knockout. That result has now set up a quarter-final showdown with defending champions Mike Gessie for Adeslam Wadu's Buccaneers.
It's a guy who believes on him. You know, you cannot shoot from 40 yards when you don't trust yourself, when you don't believe yourself, when you don't believe on your qualities. It's really a goal that delivers all the team, give happiness to all the players and the fans as well. You can see that the danger can come from everywhere in our team. It's not only the strikers, the midfielders. The weapon can come from everywhere.
For Miguel Cardoso, he had to deal with frustrated fans at full time of their penalty shootout defeat to Marumo Gallants. Their last 16 exit means that the Brazilians have not won a domestic cup since the 2022 Nedbank Cup.
We fought a lot today. We were, from the very first minute until the end, no one saw no one inside the pitch giving up. The pressure we deal with, we know it is. What we represent, what colors we represent, we are the first ones that want to win. When you take a match to penalties, things can fall for both sides. That's so it's normal. Also, the fans, they were together with the team during all the 90 plus 30 minutes and the penalties. It's obviously that we all feel some disillusion on the moment that we cannot win. So just take it as normal.
Fly half Bowden Barrett is expected to be back for New Zealand's season-ending tour of the Northern Hemisphere. That's after recovering from a shoulder injury that ruled him out of their final rugby championship game. The All Blacks have named their 36-man squad ahead of the November 1st test against Ireland in Chicago, and it features Caleb Clark and Ethan de Groot, who have both recovered from injury. And United States President Donald Trump has confirmed that a UFC fight is planned to take place at the White House. That's to celebrate his 80th birthday next year. In August, UFC boss Dana White said the mixed martial arts bout at the White House would be held on the 4th of July, the day the United States marks the 250th anniversary of its founding. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 18 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Cars.coza. Let's find what moves you. In Randburg, of course, not many people moving at all.
Yeah, you can expect about an hour delay heading towards Roodepoort. That's on the N1 southbound between Winnie. Well, now the delay is stretched from Rivonia Road all the way to Bayers Nodia due to an earlier accident. Also in Melrose, expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand, M1 North between Killarney Bains and Marlborough Drive. In Alex, traveling towards Germiston, expect about a 30-minute delay on the N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. Edenville, there's about a 30-minute delay on the R24 westbound. That's heading into Bedford View between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange. Jet Park, Boksburg area, there's slow-moving traffic. R21 southbound between Griffiths and the N12, while in Tshwane, Pretoria North, traffic remains heavily backed up on Paul Kruger between Eskiam Pahlele and Rachel de Beer. Also leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic pressure in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele between Vomhagen and the R80. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Hey, Jim, what's wrong? Hi, Bob. I'm just so confused. I'm trying to buy a car, and I don't know where to stop.
Well, have you tried to... Cars.coza, cars.coza.
Have you tried to...
Cars.coza.
Sorry, we're trying to do an advert.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the... and just go to cars.coza and let's find what moves you. Cars.coza.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 16 minutes to 5. Right, let's talk about this particular thing you were hearing in sports over the course of the day about Kaizer Chiefs losing on penalties to Stellenbosch and some kind of disagreement from the goalkeeper about who should be on the field or not. Usually that's not the keeper's choice, but Karabo, that caught your eye and a question came out of it.
Yeah, bizarre scenes we saw yesterday there. So I was asking, have you ever, like we're talking insubordination, have you ever defied your manager's instructions and totally refused to do them? So as we were watching soccer yesterday, Chiefs was 0-0. It was a 0-0 draw, and then it was extra time. It had to go to penalties. But just after the game was about to end, the coach decided to substitute the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper refused. And I was supporting him because he was playing so well, you know, and I felt like he was being hard done, and he just refused to get out. And the team lost because, obviously, of
everybody knows a penalty shootout is the luck of the draw.
Yes, the team knows. But I was just saying, have you ever defied your manager, and then how did it turn out? Did it turn out for the good, or did it turn out for the bad? So unfortunately for the goalkeeper, it turned out for the bad. So the changing room was a mess, I guess, yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting thing. And I mean, it could be your boss, or it could be anyone in authority. Maybe you are still in an age where you got teachers in your life, or you want to look back on something at school, possibly even a family member who was supposed to be in charge of you. Did you defy someone in authority and say, no, I'm not doing that. I am not doing that. I once defied one of my editors very early in my career. He asked me to do a story, and I said, no, if you want it done, do it yourself.
I would protest, but I've never defied. I'll be like,
it was a fairly extreme situation, but anyway, I kind of got away with it. Really, never got into trouble because I was right. I think too late anyway to prove that I was wrong. Tola Kelly, have you ever said no, not doing that? I'm going to do it this way, not that way.
I think I'm very much like Karabo, where when we're all like disagreeing, I'll be like, no, I don't understand why we'd have to do that, but I very much toe the line, so I would still do what is required of me, because you never know what the repercussions are, and I don't even want to take the risk of finding out what happens when you're on the other side of saying no to someone who technically holds a lot of power over you.
Yeah. Okay. So have you ever defied authority, and how did it turn out? And maybe the person whose authority you defied may well have come back to you later and said, you know what, I thought you were wrong. I nearly fired you, but in the end, I'm glad we did what you said we should do, and we didn't do what I was insisting on. Give me a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 12 minutes now to 5.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Still to come on 702 Drive, we have a new political formation called United for Change. It brings together Build One South Africa under the leadership of Mmusi Maimane, Rise Mzansi, which is led, my mind's just gone blank, who leads Songezo Zibi, and by the Good Party with Patricia de Lille, Minister Patricia de Lille, at the helm of that particular formation. Between the three of them in the last election, they got just over 1% of the vote, enough for 5 seats in a 400-seat parliament. So you have to say they are not bringing a very large amount of political capital to the table. But is there a possibility of 1 + 1 + 1 equaling more than 3? We'll talk about that with Dr. William Gumede, a political analyst, but also somebody who's involved in the negotiations that produced the Moonshot Pact. So he certainly knows something about this political space. He is our guest coming up at about 10 minutes past 5. Hope you'll stay with us for that.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right, we do this every Monday, and the B20 in brief is what we call it. It's brought to you by Standard Bank, where Africa's voice meets the world's stage. Last Wednesday, on the 1st of October, Standard Bank, in partnership with the United Nations Environment Programme, SADC, and the Business Banking Association of South Africa, hosted a high-level dialogue on advancing the climate and nature capabilities of African financial institutions. At its core, the discussion focused on how banks, regulators, and businesses can better integrate sustainability into their operations. For Africa, this work is urgent, but also full of potential. And with South Africa's G20 presidency centered on solidarity, equality and sustainability, this moment presents an opportunity to elevate African perspectives in the global sustainable finance agenda. To unpack what this all means in practice, we're joined by Boitumelo Sitlatswe, who is the head of sustainability at the Standard Bank Group. A very good afternoon to you. One of the crucial things around climate finance, around sustainable climate practices, is some kind of sustainable finance. What is Standard Bank's role in this? A very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John. Thank you very much to you and to the listeners that you have. John, I think that what we really want to always emphasize, which you opened quite well with, is that when we think about sustainable finance solutions, while they need to be informed by global objectives, we want to make sure that they very much place the realities of Africa front and center, and the priorities, the diversity of African markets. And so it's impressed upon us as financial institutions to look for solutions that are credible. To this end, at the group, we are very committed to this journey. I think we have spoken quite a lot about our sustainable finance targets that we've set for the group for 450 billion rand out to 2028. And we are really committed to this, and we believe that this sustainable finance needs to be focused on green activities. It needs to be focused on things that will have a social impact and on transition activities. So really thinking what are the needs on the continent and making sure that those solutions are co-created.
I mean, it's interesting because there are other voices on the continent saying, look, we still are looking for investment in coal and other non-renewable sources of energy. Are these things directly in conflict with each other, or is it possible to imagine that there's actually new money that's coming in that doesn't make this an either-or choice?
I think that's a very good point. I think we need to be thinking, again, putting the needs of development on the continent. And that means, particularly if we're thinking about from an energy perspective, that you'd want to have a mix of energy sources. You also want to fully support the move to cleaner energy as well. And I think we definitely do not need to make these issues mutually exclusive. What I think needs to be at the center of the conversation is really thinking about how we decarbonize, how we support our clients in these sectors, particularly in the hard-to-abate sectors, to decarbonize and to be able to support these investments that have a very clear and credible path to transition.
You obviously, as a bank, are investors, but like other banks, you also have investors. And I'm wondering, what has been the challenge of bringing along the people who are investing in Standard Bank and indeed other banks on the African continent, bring them along on this journey of investing in the sustainable?
John, for us, I think what we've been guided by is that we really take a principled approach to this. We want to make sure that when we speak about sustainability, that it is very clearly aligned to the purpose that we have, which is to drive Africa's growth, that it is aligned to the impact that we want to see on the continent, and that it has the clear strategic intent. I think we take our stakeholders along with on this journey by being able to really show a credible pathway to this. That means we have taken time to make sure that it's embedded in the business. It's led by the business. And so across the group, we have clear impact areas that look at the business of the group. So you can really see how it is integrated, how it supports our objectives to drive financial inclusion, to drive infrastructure growth across infrastructure development on the continent, towards mitigation and adaptation in the climate space, and for jobs and enterprises.
So obviously, all of this against the background, Ms. Sitlatswe, of South Africa holding the G20 presidency. What kind of opportunities has that created? You and other, financial actors and indeed economic actors in South Africa will have looked to make the most of this year. But to what extent has opportunity been opened up by our presidency of the G20?
The G20 has really, I think, provided us with a number of platforms to be able to engage across a wide range of stakeholders. As you opened up this interview, you did make mention of the sponsorship that we have of the B20. And I think one of the areas that this is very helpful in is around being able to engage in advocacy for an enabling environment. I think if we look at the task force the infrastructure and finance task force that the group has been involved in, it's really thinking about how we can unlock capital for sustainable infrastructure development and inclusive growth. And so we have really used this as an opportunity to bring the stakeholders together. At the beginning of the interview, you made mention of the engagement that we had last week that was really bringing together global players such as the UN, bringing together our colleagues from SADC, the Banking Association here in South Africa, so that we can really have a conversation that is holistic and is really embedded in the opportunities that we're trying to unlock and really mitigating some of the risks that we know we need to manage.
Thank you so much. Boitumelo Sitlatswe joining us from Standard Bank Group, where she is Head of Sustainability. At the heart of global conversations shaping the future, Africa's voice matters more than ever. As Africa's largest bank by assets and lead sponsor of the B20 Summit, Standard Bank Group is proud to spotlight the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Through informed dialogue and powerful partnerships, Standard Bank is driving sustainable growth where it matters most. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Are you able to share any statistics to really paint a picture for us as to how dire the situation is? Because obviously, if you're living in Sandton or in a suburb, you might be quite out of touch of the realities of many children.
Our data is reliable as we'd like it to be. The estimates of the number of children who don't have access to ECD programs aged between 0 to 5 in South Africa is around 3 to 4 million. Then the gap for 3 and 4-year-olds in particular is over 1 million children.
Rebecca Hickman, Chief Ecosystem and Policy Officer at Smart Start.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Investec SA. Their CEO, Kumesh Mudlia, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
It's spring, SA, and here at DecoFern, we say it's time to say yes. Say yes to new friends. Yes to new adventures. Will you marry me?
Yes!
And definitely say yes to a few new things.
Welcome to DecoFern.
Say yes to awesome savings at the DecoFern Furniture Spring Sale, with up to 35% off on outdoor furniture and much more. In-store now or at decofernsa.co.za.
The stage, the lights, the crowd, everything's perfect until suddenly someone slips on the dance floor. A speaker lands in the buffet. In an instant, your masterpiece is a mess. That's why Auto & General is there with Events Liability Insurance. We handle the unexpected so you don't have to. Plan the party, wow the guests, leave the rest to us. For more information on Events Liability Insurance, visit autogen.co.za. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
For the best marine migration, you go to KZN.
For the best hiking trails, you go to the Drakensberg. For the best flower show, you go to Namakwaland. And for the best in investments, go to Nedbank. Earn up to 10.47% interest with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. For better returns, open an Electronic Optimum Plus account today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This is EWN.
DIRCO says flotilla activists are set to be freed, and a psychiatric patient behind the blaze at Charlotte Maxeke. Good afternoon, I'm Khomozo Modise. We begin with news just in. The International Relations and Cooperation Department says South African flotilla activists are set to return home via Jordan after being detained by Israel while delivering aid to war-ravaged Gaza. DIRCO says it's been formally notified by Israeli authorities on the status of the 6 South African citizens who participated in the recent Global Flotilla Initiative. Israel had detained more than 470 people who were on board a group of 42 boats who were intercepted in the Global Sumud Flotilla. Baba Londenze reports.
Yesterday, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation said a specialist team met with the South African delegation at the Negev Israeli prison facility. The department said the delegation was able to confirm that the detainees were in good health and in high spirits. At the time, South African authorities said the necessary procedures for their safe passage and return home were advancing steadily. Today, DIRCO spokesperson Crispin Piri says they've received confirmation that the individuals in question are scheduled to be released from detention and will be repatriated.
We have received confirmation that the individuals in question are scheduled to be released from detention and will be deported via Jordan tomorrow morning.
Piri says Minister Ronald Lamola extends his gratitude to all relevant parties, both domestically and internationally, for their cooperation and coordination in ensuring the safe return of the South African citizens. Baba Londenze, Eyewitness News.
ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has pledged to ensure the party's new 10-point plan to revive the economy is fully implemented. Ramaphosa unveiled the party's economic action plan today, which is geared towards driving economic growth. It was developed by the party's National Executive Committee in response to concerns over the current state of the economy. Ramaphosa presented the plan while delivering the closing remarks at the ANC's NEC meeting in Boksburg. Alfara Mushwana was there.
One of the ANC's top priority interventions is to accelerate the recovery of Transnet's logistics network with a focus on getting freight rail fully operational. The party is also exploring ways to rebuild the country's chrome and manganese industries to boost exports to the international market. Another measure aimed at stimulating economic growth is the expansion of Eskom's transmission capacity. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says these are not mere empty promises.
We will focus on implementation and delivery. So it is going to be implementation. Specifically, we have identified 10 priority interventions to reignite growth in our economy.
Ramaphosa says the government of national unity will have to roll out the ANC's economic action plan. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News in Boksburg.
The Gauteng Health Department has confirmed that a female psychiatric patient started a flyer that broke out at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital in Parktown earlier today. It's revealed the patient set alight her bed after repeatedly demanding to be discharged. However, she did not sustain any injuries. The patient was admitted to a ward on the 9th floor at the facility, where a cleanup operation is now underway following the blaze. Jabli Lembata is there.
The Gauteng Department of Health says the mental patient was agitated and frustrated when she set her bed alight. The hospital's security personnel quickly responded to the incident with fire extinguishers before the fire could spread. The patients of the ward have been relocated for their safety while cleanup operations continue. Joburg EMS Kagiso Pasha says that firefighters also attended to the scene.
On arrival, fire crews confirmed that the fire had been extinguished before their arrival. We can confirm that no injuries were reported and the cause of the fire is still a subject of investigation.
The hospital remains fully functional. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News, Charlotte Maxeke Hospital.
The Mudimula Regional Court is seeking a new Oshivambo court interpreter in the Palapala burglary trial following repeated complaints over the current one. Oshivambo is the home language for 3 accused charged with breaking and entering into President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm and stealing $580,000. Today's proceedings were cut short after an accused complained that the interpreter was not relaying messages accurately. Tabiso Koba was there.
When Emanuela David, Froliana and Dilinasho Joseph first appeared in court, their bail applications were delayed due to a lack of an Oshivambo court interpreter. Oshivambo is an official Namibian language. The 3 accused are all South African citizens. However, they grew up in a small Ovambo community in Bilabila, Limpopo, where the language is spoken. Magistrate Peter Mantata says it would be a subversion of justice if the accused are not being interpreted to in their home language.
I don't want to risk by proceeding with this matter, and at the end of the day or the whole trial, and the matter may be set aside on the basis of a very simple thing that this court could have addressed.
The matter has been adjourned to Wednesday. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Limpopo.
And the International Criminal Court has convicted a feared Sudanese military chief for war crimes and crimes against humanity. The brutal attacks were committed in the western region of Darfur. The ICC found Ali Mohammed guilty of multiple crimes, including rape, murder, and torture carried out between August 2003 and April 2004. He will be sentenced in November. Gold is trading at $3,944.65 an ounce. The rand's at 17.22 to the dollar, 23.18 to the pound, and 20.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $65.12 a barrel.
Randburg heading towards Roodepoort. Traffic remains heavily backed up N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Beyers Nodia due to an earlier accident. Also in Midrand, traveling towards Centurion, slow-moving traffic. N1 northbound between the Batlu interchange and New Road, and in the city of Tshwane in Pretoria North, traffic heavily backed up on Paul Kruger between Eskiam Pahlele and Rachel De Beer.
In your sport, Bafana Safari Lebogile Mufokeng Blower, Zimbabwe's assistant coach, steps down from his role after slapping a player. The Springboks switch their attention to November's tour of Europe, and former England captain Lewis Moody reveals motor neuron disease diagnosis.
A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to an overnight low of 14 degrees, peaking at 28. Pretoria 15 and 30. Vereeniging 12 and 28. The top story in EWN this hour. The International Relations and Corporations Department says South African flotilla activists are set to return home via Jordan after being detained by Israel while delivering aid to war-ravaged Gaza.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 5. Good to have you with us on the show. Coming up over the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to be looking, first of all, at a change in the South African political landscape. But how much of a change? The 3 political parties involved in this move, Build One South Africa, BOSA, Rise Mzansi and the Good Party, under the leadership of Patricia de Lille, are going to be working together in something called United for Change. Now, we've had things of this nature before. Is this going to make a difference? A substantial one? Because I think the difference would need to be substantial if it's really going to have any significance at all. Wouldn't you say that? Anyway, we'll be talking to Professor William Gumede, who'll be joining us from the University of the Witwatersrand. He, you may recall, was involved in the negotiations that produced the Moonshot Pact, and we'll be very interested to get his take on what's happening here. And then we're going to respond to something which Mjindi has asked us about. We were planning to do this anyway, but Mjindi puts it very well and says, have you paid attention to the motoring industry recently? Motor vehicles are being pulled back frequently by manufacturing companies for faulty issues. What's happening? Indeed, what is happening? The latest is BMW, almost 12,500 vehicles recalled due to potentially dangerous defects in the starter motor. We'll talk to motoring expert Kumbi Mchakazi in just a moment. 7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5. It's great to have you with us.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Sorry, I wanted to say I one time defied an instruction from the big boss to hide corruption. They are busy with the tenders, and actually I refused and I said I'm not gonna be quiet. I told them, you would see when all of them came against me. I didn't know that the MMCs and the mayors they are involved there. All of them they fired me. Then I learned that I should have kept quiet and act like I didn't see it. But I was the one who was signing and requesting the RFQs.
Good afternoon. Personally, I've never done such a thing. But if we're talking about the game itself, making a reference to that now, I really do feel that Ndwari was justified. And he still did not do bad. When he saved one penalty, his teammates were supposed to score the rest. Guys, they're just being unfair on the guy.
Yeah, and we're asking questions about where you've defied authority or defied your bosses or whatever it might be in relation to what happened in that Kaizer Chiefs match where the goalkeeper was told, you're off, and he said, I'm not coming off. I'm staying on the field. Interesting way of going about things, but maybe you've defied authority and come up with a better outcome. How did it turn out for you? Give us a call on 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
Karabo Charlie with the latest from the roads. Randburg was rough earlier. I don't know if it's getting any better.
Well, it's not getting any better, I'm afraid, John. We still have that accident scene. This is in Randburg on the N1 South near Beyers Nordia. This is causing heavy delays all the way from Rivonia Road. In Melrose, traffic remains sluggish. Actually, you can expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. M1 northbound between Killarney Bends and Marlborough Drive in Alexandra. Also, about a 30-minute delay traveling towards Germiston. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive all the way to Van Buren. Also in Edenvale, expect about a 30-minute delay heading into Bedfordview. R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. Still in Ekurhuleni, Jet Park Boksburg area, expect about a 20-minute delay on the R21 southbound. That's heading towards East Rand Mall between Griffiths and the N12. And in Pretoria North, traffic heavily backed up. This is on Paul Kruger between Eskiam Pahlele and Rahul De Beer. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
13 minutes past 5. So 3 political parties announced over the weekend that they will contest next year's local government elections as one entity. Unite for Change will be made up of Rise Mzansi under the leadership of Songezo Zibi, Build One South Africa, which is headed by Musi Maimane, and the Good Party, Good, which will be part of that triumvirate under the leadership, of course, of Minister Patricia de Lille. So, what kind of change does this represent? It's early days, of course, but the parties themselves in the last election between them didn't put together any kind of substantial score. So, are they fishing in waters that even if they may be all fishing together, are those waters substantial, deep and wide enough to provide them with more fish than what they managed to pull out of the water in 2025. Let's welcome for this discussion Professor William Gumede, who's founder of the Democracy Works Foundation and professor at the School of Governance at Wits University. Prof, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Apart from obviously your academic and analytical background, you have practical experience of putting together these kinds of pacts. You were involved with the Moonshot pact that preceded the 2025 general election. what are your opening thoughts on Unite for Change? Good afternoon to you.
Oh, good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners, and thank you for inviting me. It has been quite a while since I've spoken to you. I think, just maybe the first thing to say is just, it's going to be absolutely critical in South Africa that we actually build a sort of a big tent, centrist national political consensus. What do I mean by that? What we need to do is get all of these different political parties together and firstly just reduce our political parties. I mean, that's the first thing. But secondly, we need to get our pro-constitution, pro-rule of law parties and parties that are racially inclusive and non-violent, get those parties to collaborate. And when I say collaborate, either merge or either form some kind of alliances. And it's going to be absolutely critical that we do that, because as the ANC decline, we may see actually the rise of populist, anti-business, anti-constitutional, violence political parties may dominate the space that the ANC leaves. And that is why it's so important that we form these, that we bring together in some kind of big umbrella, centrist politics, and we get going now.
But while there is clearly, in your view, Prof, a need, does this meet that need? I mean, the three parties between them didn't exactly shoot the lights out, and they were not under-resourced in terms of having the means to actually go out and take their message to the public. I mean, would you expect a Unite for Change to do better than the combination of Bosa, Rise Mzansi, and Good did in 2025?
I think it's always better for the parties to combine. I mean, as I say, we've just got too many political parties, because all of these political parties, you look at it, I mean, they've got the same policies. Even on our populist left type of, that spectrum, we have so many parties with the same policies. I mean, the only difference really is leaders, and it all, most of the reasons why we have so many parties with the same policies is just that many people use political parties as a meal ticket rather than as a conviction. People set up political parties to earn income, not for any kind of purpose. They just kind of use a purpose and policies as an afterthought. So I think combining parties that are the same give these parties better chance to get more voters.
Yes.
Rather than parties being standalone, it just fractures the vote, fragment the vote, particularly if the parties are standing for the same thing.
Is there not a danger, though, that people who, for example, let's just take Rise Mzansi, said, I really like them. I like the fact that they were new. I liked Songezo Zibi, but now in this new formation, I'm concerned that he's diluted. He's not going to be the leader of the party. I'm not saying he isn't, but he may not be. And they may say, well, actually, I don't really fancy his new bedfellows particularly.
I think what people must understand now is, we've reached the post-liberation era that has been dominated by the ANC, and it's very likely that we will have in the near future or in the medium future that we'll have dominant parties like the ANC again. So we're in an era of coalition politics, and it is still better in an era of coalition politics to have, alliances or have mergers. In the past, what I've been telling opposition party leaders who've struggled to merge their parties because of they're battling over who's to become the leader and so on. There are different ways to deal with this issue. For example, yes. I mean, in a coalition like this, what they could do is they could rotate the leadership, for example. 1 year, one person is the leader, the other year another person. So there are many, many ways to deal with this. But it's for voters. It's rather than focusing on voting for their sort of 1% party, it's better for voters' interest if the parties are combined.
So, and just finally, I mean, if you look, given that it seems to me perceptions of leadership and perceptions of leaders play a substantial role in our voting politics. We could debate about how substantially so, but I think it is an element of importance. Of those three, who's more likely to appeal to the South African public?
I think it is very important, perceptions of leadership. I think, just looking back, I mean, when I chaired the negotiations to put together the multi-party charter, and, they didn't get the vote that they thought they would get in last year's elections. And I think one of the reasons, and this is now, again, looking back, one of the reasons was that there was no one single face for the 15 parties. And I think in our context, our voters still want one individual, one face rather than, say, 15, or in this case, 3 leaders. I think if the 3 parties, if they present themselves to the voters as, look, we've now combined, we will have some kind of rotation system where depending on the time and the year, it will be a different leader, or they choose among themselves a new leader. I mean, it's going to be up to them. The one challenge they will have is that all 3 of the individual leaders have struggled in the past on their own to garner mass votes.
Yes.
So they will now have to explain to the voters that, look, they're combining forces in the interest of South Africa, not in their own sort of individual or party interests. But, I mean, it is important, though. I started off with the fact that we need to build some kind of centrist. When I say a centrist, a pragmatic centrist in our politics, because right now our politics are dominated by very, very wild people, very violent people, gangsters, and ideologically fundamentalist people, and people who are not really non-racialist and so on. So what we need to do, so even in our GNU, I've been suggesting to leaders in the GNU to even have a caucus in the GNU, which is sort of pro-constitutional, which is racially inclusive, and then perhaps, getting to the 2029 election to actually form a very, very big centrist coalition that would include the members, the current pro-constitutional members of the GNU, would say, for example, this kind of coalition also, and form a very big a broad-based centrist pro-constitutional coalition that can actually lead South Africa in 2029 when the ANC is not there anymore as a big party.
Thanks so much, Professor William Gumede, joining us. He's founder of the Democracy Works Foundation and professor at the School of Governance at Wits University. 22 minutes past 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus our attention now on something that's been in the news, something causing, I have to say, a considerable amount of concern. The BMW Group in South Africa has issued an urgent safety recall for 12,491 vehicles. It's a defect related to the vehicle's starter motor. It allows water to seep in at certain points, or can allow that. It's a minor problem that could become a major problem. It could cause electrical short circuits, in the worst case scenario, trigger a fire. So what's going on here? And if you set it in the larger context, well, we seem to, my mind at least, to have had a large number of vehicle recalls. Many of them focusing on issues of safety. Kumbi Mchakazi is a motoring expert and joins us now. Kumbi, welcome and thanks very much for your time. What do you make of all of this? I mean, it seems to me that there have been quite a lot of recalls. Firstly, would you agree that most of them are focused on safety? And what's going on with BMW? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you and the listeners, John. Yeah, it's quite alarming. I mean, there have been a number of recalls from various of brands, and now with BMW latest to join that fold as well. And I mean, this is a worldwide recall, over 331,000 cars worldwide, and in South Africa, it's more than 12,000 BMW vehicles. And I think it's alarming, and there needs to be a lot of stringent quality assurance or quality checks in process. And I think this is why BMW is currently now going through that. I mean, it's a wide range of their vehicles and vehicles that do extremely well in all markets, whether it's South Africa, or essentially worldwide rather. So it is very alarming. And I mean, what we are learning right now is that it's essentially a corrosion issue at the starter motor. So this is essentially a worrisome issue because should you then start your car, it might essentially cause a fire risk. So that is very, very worrisome.
So, Kumbi, I mean, the one thing that strikes me, I mean, there's 6 popular models, 3 Series G20, 4 Series G22, 5 Series G30, Z4 G29, X3, and X4. Some of these vehicles have been sold since 2016. I mean, they're almost 10 years old. Surely if this was a serious problem, it would have been manifesting by now.
Yeah, so usually that is the case. But I think for them to actually recall it, I think there have been some cases that they've essentially picked out at certain dealerships, with essentially consumers alerting the dealerships of the certain problem. I'm assuming here because, I mean, for over 331,000 cars globally, John, that is, there's definitely something wrong with that.
Yes.
And I mean, if it's a starter motor, then it is something you need to essentially take in your car to get checked out. And it affects cars from 2015, actually. And like you mentioned, it's over 10 years, and there is going to be some corrosion in there. But I think this is just something that can be picked up when you do take your car in for a service or any sort of maintenance that's happening on your car. So they should have been picked up quite a long time ago as well.
So one of our listeners, Mjindi, Kumbi, sent us a voice note saying, what's going on in the vehicle industry? Because a lot of these things are to do with safety. BMW X3 was pulled in September, saying rear outer head restraints may fail during an accident. VW Polo, rear axle not bolted with necessary torque, risk of dislodgement and loss of control. And the list is long. I've just picked out a couple. There were brake issue with the Ford Ranger Wild Track, Tremor, and Platinum. That's a lot of vehicles, all of them that I've mentioned, with safety implications. Are we seeing a problem in assembly quality control that really needs to be addressed more broadly than just at a manufacturer level?
100%, John, and it goes back to, I think, if I can echo what I said earlier on when we started the conversation, that I think there needs to be much more stringent quality checks and quality control within these processes. Because clearly, I mean, across the board, it's BMW, it's Ford, it's Volvo, it's Audi, it's everybody really, even from a supplier point of view, where you're getting airbags now that are also faulty and might not deploy in case of an accident, which is also extremely worrisome. So I think there needs to be very strict processes in terms of quality control, and I do think that they are slightly focusing on, not slightly rather, but they're focusing on the producing more cars and getting cars out very fast to meet the demand, but that they need to dial it down a bit to actually focus on that on the safety side, because it's very worrisome. I mean, we've a few years ago we had that Ford problem, and somebody got killed in that fire because
Ford Kuga,
things like this. Correct. So I think this is something that needs to be checked on, and that needs to be put strict measurements in place for this not to happen again, especially with technology that's happening currently in the motoring industry. I think people need to ensure that they're always putting those quality control measures in check.
Thanks so much, Kumbi Mchakazi, motoring expert. If you've been involved as the owner of a vehicle that's been recalled, I mean, maybe you want to share your experiences. Are these quick fixes? Do you have to leave the car and leave it there for a period of time? I've fortunately not been dragged into this in terms of the vehicles that I own, but I'm sure some of you out there have. Do tell us what happened and how did you feel when you heard, well, please bring your car in, there might be a problem with the brakes. I think that'd make me fairly tense. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, good afternoon.
Afternoon to you, John. On the face of it, not a lot happening on the JSE, but actually a lot going on. The All Share ending the day up 0.13% at 109,926 points. Financials up 0.95%. Industrials down nearly 1.25%. And resources up 1.17%. But shares in Mondi down to their lowest levels in about 12 years, down 16.28% on the day. Taking SAPI with them, down over 11%. So what happened was Mondi put out an update saying they're experiencing low demand and low prices. And it's quite serious, John. I mean, they're extending maintenance shutdowns at some of their factories because of that lower demand. They expect these tough conditions to last for the rest of the year, and that had such a big impact on their share price and of their main competitor, SAPI. Blue Label down 4.16%. A lot going on in that group around Cell C. Some of the other communications companies down too. Vodacom and MTN both down by around 2% on the day as well. Naspers down 1.71%. And then also Richmond down 2.39% on the day. Eltron confirming their headline earnings for the 6 months to the end of August will be up by around 20%. And then obviously, because the gold price is still just roaring ahead, quite close now to $4,000 an ounce. DRD gold up 5%, Anglo gold up 3.22%, Harmony up 2.36%. You get to the point at which you wonder how much higher can all of this go, but this is where we are. Advitech up 3.5%, and the Resilience up 2.74%, while ShopRite are up quite strongly 2.65% on the day. In the US, the main indices opening higher despite the shutdown of the US federal government, mainly because of more froth around AI. There's a new record high for Bitcoin as well, above $125,000 the dollars per Bitcoin. The Dow Jones is down 0.14%. The Nasdaq is up 0.5%. The S&P 500 up 0.28%. Not all great in the US markets, though, John. So I love this organization, the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States. They make it sound like it's medicinal. Maybe it is. We're talking about people who make spirits, like, bourbon, things like that. Their exports were down 9% in the second quarter of the year. And I think what that means is that people are coming right and moving away from bourbon to, good old-fashioned Irish whiskey, partly, I suspect, because of a little bit of a sense around the American sort of markets at the moment and tariffs. And as a result of that, that's having a big impact on the US right now. The gold price, it is extraordinary. $3,954.26. Platinum, $1,636.67. Brent crude, $65.09 an ounce. The rand doing quite nicely. 17.20 to the dollar, 20.15 to the euro, and 23.18 to the British pound. On the Money Show tonight, the president's new grand plan to grow the economy. We'll be talking tonight as well about Discovery Green. This is the power company. They, can you see the irony? They are supplying green electricity to Glencore, who are using it to mine coal. Couldn't make it up. And a wonderful story. I mean, probably not wonderful if you're in the middle of it. There's a massive complex, sectional title complex out in Pretoria. The big selling point of it is that it's got a big lagoon. People have realized they can make a lot more money renting their units out on Airbnb. Most of the people in the complex are not so keen on that idea. So Cape Town comes to Tshwane, if you like. We'll talk about that on The Money Show. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 28 minutes to 6. Stephen up with The Money Show between 6 and 8 o'clock. Let's get the latest eyewitness news now with Khumotso Modise. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The state in the murder case of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaka has argued that one of the three lawyers should withdraw from the matter due to conflict of interest. Advocate Shane Matthews previously represented Sibusiso Ngengwa, who's since pleaded guilty to the charges and is now the lawyer for accused number 2, Mbulelo Mpofana. The prosecution believes there will be conflict in the trial proceedings as Ngengwa is now the key witness. The matter was heard in the Pietermaritzburg High Court earlier on today. Nhlanhla Mabaso was there.
In July this year, the hitman in the Sindiso Magaka murder case, Sibusiso Ngengwa, pleaded guilty to shooting the young politician and his colleagues, councillors Nonsigele Lomafa and Jabulile Msia. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison. However, he has now turned state witness and will be called to testify in the high-profile murder case. State prosecutor advocate Lawrence Tsaba.
In view of the fact that we have once represented Ngengwa in this matter, we have taken instructions, we have proceeded, we have called witnesses in this matter. Ngengwa now is going to be a state witness after he has made the 220.
Gaba adds Matthews should consider dropping this case.
Therefore, please, can we call the matter closer in court so as to allow you to withdraw as attorneys of record or counsel of record and have somebody appointed for Mr. Mieza for today?
The matter has been postponed to the 6th of November for the state to file an application for Matthews' withdrawal. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Pietermaritzburg.
The National Roads Agency says the Huguenot Tunnel's structural integrity remains sound, but critical repairs are needed. Engineering assessments were conducted over the weekend after a bus caught alight inside the tunnel on Friday. The ceiling and roadway did not suffer much damage, but some wall panels and cabling systems need replacing. Head of the Fire Engineering Research Unit at Stellenbosch University, Professor Richard Walls.
One of the biggest things is already in motion, that they are upgrading the Huguenot Tunnel to have a second tunnel open. So also if there's an incident on one side, then they'll be able to close down one tunnel and keep the second one operational. In addition to that, I understand that they'll be installing fire suppression systems.
As Eastern Cape municipalities come under flack for poor service delivery, Parliament has heard that millions of rands in government funding is not being spent and must be returned to the National Treasury. This has emerged at a meeting of the Portfolio Committee on Corporative Governance and Standing Committee on the Auditor General, which are on an oversight visit in the province this week. It's the fourth province being visited by the parliamentary committees as they grapple with the problems of the country's many beleaguered local councils. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Parliamentarians have questioned how, with the massive infrastructure backlogs in the province, municipalities are not spending grants intended for this purpose. Over the past financial year, the province has had to return more than 300 million rand in unspent funding to the National Treasury. Finance MEC Mlungisi Mvoko says the two metro councils of Nelson Mandela Bay and Buffalo City are the biggest culprits of the underspending.
The province has made measurable strides in improving municipal financial management and governance, but the return on investment is not always evident.
Mvoko says there's little indication that the metros will improve in their infrastructure spending this year.
Your findings and the things that you're looking at and their responses are chalk and cheese. They have every reason and excuse not to perform.
Both metro councils, which have received qualified audits for the past financial year, are still due to present their side to Parliament. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And the UK's Queen Camilla has led tributes for British author Gilly Cooper, who's died at the age of 88. Cooper was known for her raunchy romance novels and her series, The Rutshire Chronicles. Her publishers have confirmed that she died on Sunday morning after a fall. Her steamy novels have been praised as an award-winning combination of glorious storytelling. A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. The temperatures drop to overnight lows of between 12 and 14 and will reach highs of between 28 and 30.
Well, at this stage in Tshwane, traffic remains heavily backed up in Pretoria North on Paul Kruger. This is between Elias Motsoaledi and Rachel de Beer. Also leaving the Pretoria CBD, traffic pressure in Hermanstad. That's on Eskiam Patlele between Vormhagen and the R80, and in Randburg, traffic remains heavily backed up heading towards Roodepoort. That's N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Beyers Naudé due to an earlier accident.
The top story on Eyewitness News: the state in the murder case of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Cindy Somakaka has argued that one of the three lawyers should withdraw from the matter due to conflict of interest.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
The charges that she's facing now, did that have anything to do, though, with the employment of this 22-year-old when this signature was allegedly used without the minister's approval?
I would not want to speculate, but rather let me focus on the unfair procedure which was meted out to Zanele Simons in this regard.
You're not able to say to us that when they say she used, allegedly, the electronic signature of the minister, what she had used that for, as per the charge sheet.
The charge does not really disclose that, except for saying that she used it to falsify CVs without proper authorization. And we want to state it before you that that is denied vehemently. That has not happened according to the instructions we have.
Paul Khoza is from the Paul Khoza attorney, represents Zanele Simon.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Join us for the Clash of the Titans at the Inanda Polo Club on the 19th of October, where Africa unites through polo. Proudly brought to you by Titan Law in association with Polo South Africa. Don't miss out. Book your spot on Howler.
When I say insurance, you say pineapple. Insurance.
Pineapple.
Insurance.
Pineapple.
Insurance. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and you know I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John and the team. This new formation of a party by Good Party, Bossa, and the others, it's a scam because both of them, they say they don't need, on this unification, they don't need any donor, but they will keep the donors from their own organization. So meaning the donors will still making those decisions for them. So they are thinking they think that you are stupid, you don't see this thing. The donor will still making the same thing, the same demands. And the donor is one, it's an Oppenheimer family. So we all know, all of them, three of them, they are supported by the Oppenheimer. So they are lying if they say they don't need any donor for unification of all the unions. But they already have the donor individually. It's just a scam, man.
Hey, John. Yeah, this is not shouldn't be too alarming. This component is imported, so it's not a South African thing. So that's the one thing. Secondly, is if a defect is known, the onus lies on the directors to make the call in terms of recall. Now, you would have known from the saga with VW emissions in North America, where they almost fudged the numbers. So there was legal implications and a huge fine. So the directors would rather play on the side of safety, especially if it's deemed as safety critical. So they do the recall. So this is just precautionary, nothing to be too majorly concerned about.
Well, I think there are a couple of things to be concerned about. First of all, when people say the problem is with the brakes, I think that's something to be concerned about. But secondly, the volume of recalls can mean one of two things, and it may be a mix of both. On the one hand, we're having more and more problems, or there's more transparency and vigilancy around those problems. And the mix of the both suggests, well, it's great that they're being more transparent and vigilant, but there are, in fact, problems. John says my Audi A3 was recalled to fix a possible airbag fault. Adjustment was conducted, but the warning light still shows on the dashboard. Audi Santon does not respond to my complaints. John, Audi Santon, guys, I hope you can sort it out. It sounds pretty straightforward. Pick up the phone, answer the call, sort out the warning light. I have to say, I do not follow the argument in that voice note about Unite for Change being a scam. I mean, if you've got three political parties whose donors are absolutely well known, and they say we're not going to be looking for new money as a united entity, i.e. Unite for Change, we're going to work with the donors that we already have, who are well known because those donors have been declared. I'm sorry, where is the scam in that? I would be much more concerned about political parties that appear to have huge amounts of money but don't tell you where it's coming from. Isn't that more likely to be a scam? Forgive me, I'm bewildered. What part of that is scamish? Is there such a word? Probably not. Still come on 702 Drive. You're probably aware it's a big week on 702 Drive, or rather on 702, because on Wednesday, we really are hosting something quite special. Our colleague who does the Midday Report, Mandy Wiener, has written a book called The Deal. Our other colleague, who you know equally well, Clement Manyatela, is going to be hosting her in a special broadcast on Wednesday, coming up at 10 o'clock on the Clement Manyatela show. And they're going to be talking about a book that looks at the extraordinarily intricate and intriguing politics that followed the last general election and produced the government of national unity. In preparation for that, and just to whet your appetite, by the way, I'm sorry to say all the seats for the live audience for that Clement Mandy conversation have been taken, but be sure to tune in. But just to whet your appetites for that, we'll be having a chat to Mandy shortly, just about a few aspects of what it actually takes to write a book like that. I'm looking forward to that. It's coming up in a moment. 16 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, South Africa are chasing victory. Are they getting close? It's their second World Cup game. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. And they're chasing 232 and currently find themselves on 213 for the loss of 4 in the 37th over. They now need just 19 more runs and 79 balls for victory. Batting is Sonalo Jafta on note alongside Sunelus on 68. Switching to football, where injury has ruled Rile Mufokeng out of Bafana Bafana's upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. That's against Zimbabwe and Rwanda, and he's now replaced by Mdu Shabalala. With Bafana having been docked 3 points from qualifying for fielding the ineligible Debo Mokoena against Lesotho in March, Coach Hugo Bruce says there's no room for error as they target a first World Cup appearance since 2010.
Maybe the next games are historical. Everybody knows that it's 24 years ago that South Africa could qualify for World Cup. Our situation is a little bit changed because of the deduction of 3 points, but that's the only change. Even with 3 points ahead, we had to win 2 last games to be mathematically sure to be qualified. So that is not a change for us. Certainly look at the next games. There are 4 teams involved. It's impossible that 4 teams can win their 2 matches.
Bruce has also discussed if any players from the current Amajita squad could be in contention for AFCON selection in December. The African champions have progressed to the last 16 of the Under-20 World Cup and will face Colombia on Wednesday.
I think for the future, it's very important. But I don't think we have to count on those guys already for AFCON in December. This is much too soon. Let them now make a good World Cup, and then we will see later on which players eventually we can use for us. And if that is possible, but we are starting already a few months with putting young players and younger players in our team.
For Zimbabwe, they've suffered a blow ahead of their games with Bafana, with assistant coach Takeshaw Chiragwi stepping down from his role. That's after slapping a player during a match this past weekend. Chiragwi struck Ngezi Platinum Stars' McDonald Makawe during Saturday's league clash against Dynamos FC. That's after the forward failed to calm down after his team conceded a goal. Chiragwi has since issued a public apology for his widely condemned behaviour. And England's 2003 Rugby World Cup winner Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with motor neuron disease. The former captain confirmed his diagnosis on social media as he admitted that the news had been incredibly hard to process. Rugby players could be prone to motor neuron disease, with the cause still unknown, while fellow professionals Jos van der Westhuizen and Rob Burrow have died from the disease in recent years. Tola Gelemganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
13 minutes to 6. Eyewitness Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Problems in Edenvale. Karabo Chale with the details.
Yeah, that's heading into Bedford View. That's the R24 westbound. You can expect about a 30-minute delay between Edenvale Road and the Giluli's interchange. In Jet Park, Boksburg, also heavy delays. Expect about a 20-minute delay. R21 southbound, that's heading towards East Rand Mall between Griffith and the N12. Still in Boksburg, roadworks causing heavy delays on the N17 westbound. That's heading towards Brakpan. Between Rondebolt and Carnival City. And Alex traveling towards Germiston, you can still expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive all the way to Van Buren. Some good news in the Randburg area. That accident seen on the N1 southbound near Beyers Nordia has been cleared. However, you can still expect some delays all the way from Rivonia Road. In Pretoria North, traffic heavily backed up on Paul Kruger between Eskiam Pahlele and Rachel de Beer. And if you are leaving the Pretoria CBD, there's traffic pressure Esha in Hermannstad on Eskiam Patlele between Vormhagen and the RAT. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 93. You stopped to help a family of ducks cross the street. What a tall tale. Fortunately, with the OUTsurance pointsmen on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The OUTsurance pointsmen easing traffic congestion and getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. OUTsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Are you able to share any statistics to really paint a picture for us as to how dire the situation is? Because obviously, if you're living in Sandton or in a suburb, you might be quite out of touch of the realities of many children.
Our data is reliable as we'd like it to be. The estimates of the number of children who don't have access to ECD programs aged between 0 to 5 in South Africa is around 3 to 4 million. Then the gap for 3 and 4-year-olds in particular is over 1 million children.
Rebecca Hickman, Chief Ecosystem and Policy Officer at Smart Start.
702 afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Business OUTsurance are experts in business insurance for optometrists, surgeons, and other medical specialists. Here's Chrissy.
Business OUTsurance is the best insurer for my business. They have great premiums, wonderful service. I know without a doubt that OUTsurance has my back, and you always get something out with OUTsurance.
Switch to Business OUTsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
For those 2 a.m. checkouts or the late night shift. For the last minute orders and the beginning of the month rush. For the 9 to 5 that becomes a 5 to 9. You don't clock out, and neither should your payments. Pay Fast by Network, always open for the dreamers, the doers, for you. From e-commerce to in-store payments and business funding, we have you covered. Sign up today at payfast.io.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. So, as I said, something we're really excited about on 702 this weekend is Clement Maniatella's conversation with Mandy Wiener. Mandy has just written a book called The Deal, Inside the Talks That Shaped South Africa's Future. And it traces a line from the elections of last May that left South Africa in absolutely uncharted political waters. And as people began charting a path through there, some incredibly interesting conversations took place. And that, of course, is just the beginning, because then we got a government of national unity, and that hasn't been plain sailing either. So Mandy up with Clement on Wednesday at 10, but we thought we'd have a chat to Mandy, not so much about the contents, because I'm going to leave that to that conversation on Wednesday, but a little bit of insight, we hope, into how books like these get written. Mandy, welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us.
Thanks, John. Thanks so much for having me.
So, I mean, you've written a lot of books, and you've written a lot of books while hosting a very popular TV show, while being a much sought-after presenter at corporate and other kinds of public events, and, of course, doing 702 at midday. Where do you find time to write, and how do you structure that time?
And don't forget being a parent, which is my primary job, really.
Yes, I was going to say, two
time.
children, hey?
Yeah. So this book was written in between everything else. It was written late at night and early in the morning when everybody else was sleeping. It was written on aeroplanes a lot. So whoever was sitting next to me would have got a sneak preview of what was in the book. And I'm sure there were plenty of people staring over my shoulder. It was written in hotel rooms. It was written waiting for interviews, because I did a lot of waiting for interviews, having interviewed 25 politicians for this book. So this was really a book that was written in snatches, in little snippets of pieces. I used to write books. I could sit down at my desk before I had kids and before I was doing a daily radio show. I could write for 8-10 hours a day. That's changed completely. I have to write it whenever I have a gap.
So in the writing of your other books, and I'll just mention a few for people that many will have bought them and read them, but Ministry of Crime, which looked into the South African underworld. You did a biography of Robert Marawa, who is our colleague here at 947, a memoir of Vusi Pikole, perhaps one that's most well-known, Killing Kebble, and Underworld Exposed. When you were writing those books, did you sit down and say, I'm going to write for 2 hours? Did you sit down and say, I'm going to write until I've done X number of 100 or 1,000 words? Or did you just say, I'm going to write until I'm done for the day?
So my friends who are fiction writers hate discussing this with me, because I find it much easier to write nonfiction and I can pump out a large volume of words in a day, whereas fiction writers tend to take much longer. And if I'm on a work block during COVID, for example, while I was writing The Whistleblowers, we were on a shared group where we shared how many words we had written for the day. And I always cleaned up, because I found nonfiction, it's got quotes in. So that kind of takes up a large portion. But I do find that I can sit down and write a chunk. The problem is it all sits in my head, John. So I need to get it out of my head and onto the page. Otherwise, it kind of lingers. And I struggle to focus on anything else. I think my husband will probably tell you that. But I do tend to write a lot and pretty quickly as well, which I'm very grateful for, but it does mean that I tend to overwrite as well.
So let's talk briefly about the book. I don't want to do any spoiler alerts on what you and Clement are going to talk about, but just this, for that purpose. I mean, 25 politicians. Did you find all of them wanted to talk? Because some of it is awkward. Some of it, the dust would have settled, obviously, because you interviewed people across the long timeline of the story that you're telling. But were most people keen?
Yes and no. Some people were very much not keen. Some people blue-ticked me. Some people told me very rudely to take a hike. But I must say, many of the politicians, if I contacted them directly, were really, really cooperative. Fikile Mbalula, the ANC Secretary General, responded immediately and made an appointment with me within 2-3 days and sat down with me for an interview. Helen Ziller, John Steenhuisen, very similar, were very willing to speak. Phoebe Potgieter, Qubule as well, was so cooperative. Others I had to hunt. I had to nag and nag and nag and beg and plead. Some of them I worked through spokespeople. Some of them I worked through lawyers. I worked through back channels. I worked through friends. I tried everything. And ultimately, when I couldn't get to them, I couldn't. The president, as an example, I nagged Vincent Magwenya almost every single day. I was a stalker. I kept messaging him, begging him for an interview. And eventually, as this book was about to go to print, he sent me a message saying, I can get you an interview tomorrow morning, get City to stand in for you, 11 o'clock, it's all I can do. And I had to do that interview and turn it around in 24 hours. So with some, yes, they were very keen. They realized that this was a record of history, that it was important for posterity. Others had no interest whatsoever in speaking.
So we always end the show off with music. Now, I don't know if you're able to write, Mandy, while music is playing, but I did ask you to pick a song that either you had playing while you wrote that allowed you to, I don't hate to use the word detox, but maybe, break from the pattern of writing, or maybe just a song that comes to mind on what's obviously been a hugely exciting and productive period. So tell us what you chose, tell us why you chose it, and we're going to start playing it in the background.
Well, I laughed when you asked me this question, because I wish I had time to listen to to music while I was doing this.
Yeah.
I think the soundtrack of this was probably my children playing Roblox and in the background. So I didn't want to put you through that torment because it's enough to drill into your head. But when I'm traveling, when I'm writing, to kind of zone out and get rid of the background noise, I listen to piano instrumental music of popular like pop music, because if I hear the lyrics, then it distracts me from writing. So I have a playlist on Spotify and Apple Music of piano instrumentals, and the one that I think reminds me most of this period is Fortnite. I'm not a Swiftie, but I did like this one, Taylor Swift and Post Malone. So that's what I had in my ears while I was on flights in hotel rooms writing this book.
The book is called The Deal. The author is Mandy Wiener. Wednesday at 10 with Clement Manyatela. They'll be chatting about the book. It's something for you to look forward to. Do not miss it on 702. This has been 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, from the whole team. Have yourselves a wonderful Monday. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking. Absa is a proud lead sponsor of B20 South Africa 2024.